Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another morning space with me. My name is Kalu Aja, and on here on this space every week we're talking money, the economy, finance, and we're of course trying to make it personal to you as usual to give you that information that makes you a better investor, so that you can participate in this global economy. This week we want to talk about the protests that have been going on in Nigeria, and Nigerians have been protesting. It's called the End Bad Governance protest. So it's really a reaction of Nigerians to the economic picture in Nigeria right now. And again, this is going to be, just to put it out there, this is going to be your space. I'm just hosting the platform. So if you want to speak, you want to DM, let me just make sure my DM is open. So you can do that, right? And I'm just going to give a brief talk and I'll get out of the way so we can talk. But let me just implore that we don't make it, we already know what the issues are like. So let's come out here and say, I'm asking two questions. What economic policy do you want to see in the next, say, 90 days or 1 year? What do you want to see? What did you want to see that you haven't seen that is causing you to protest? That's one. And of course, the president has given a speech. Did that speech in any way change your perception of the economy, of the president, of what you'd like to see? So the two things I want to just dwell on the next maybe 2 or 3 hours we have on this space. Why have you been disappointed to the point that you'd like to go out and protest? And what do you want to see from the administration? What change do you want to see? When I put this space up, I got someone sent me a mail from quote unquote the government side that says, "Hey, Carl, we just want to make sure that you are balanced in what you're doing today, that people understand what the government has done, and I would like you to make sure that people understand that the government has done some things." My job again, I'm a host, so even if I have an opinion, I have to give both sides. So I'm going to make sure that we also hear what they say, quote unquote, that they have done, right? And also make sure you also say what's on your mind, really, and then we can take it from there. But let me give my own short speech, right? The government has been in power, I believe, since to a year now, a year plus now. During the elections, I made a point that the economy of Nigeria is set up for a savior. It's been so badly run that anyone that comes to office today and does one or two policies, they'll line Nigeria with treasury. When you always hear no money in the treasury, this was really no money in the treasury. We had no FDIs, no foreign direct investments. We had no foreign portfolio investments. Crypto was banned. There were no jobs created. We had and high unemployment. I could go on and on and on the ground. During the elections, we had three main contenders: Atiku, Tinubu, and Peter Obi. Problems we know what the problems were. It was inflation, it was economic growth. Those are the two really, really big economic issues. And I said you can solve these two in 90 days. You're not going to bring inflation to zero in 90 days, but people will see that it's coming down. So the expectation of inflation will be coming down in 90 days. And also the exchange rate, job creation and growth, you can also solve in 90 days. And we've seen it happen. Look at Argentina. They've done it. It's caused them a lot of pain, but they're doing it. I think where the admin got it wrong, in my own opinion, is that they spent too long to address the major issues that Nigerians were facing. They took too long to understand that Nigerians were hungry. I just always say we're hungry. But in this instance, Nigerians really were hungry. That's food hunger, not hunger for change, food hunger. It took them too long to identify that they were hungry. And then when they identified Nigerians were hungry, it took them too long to prefer a solution. The issue today is food in Nigeria. Food. Food is driving inflation. Food is driving your exchange rates. Food is driving everything you see in the country. Everything. People think it's petroleum. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics has stated that it is food. Food makes up 50% of the consumer price index, it drives 10% inflation growth. Transportation is less than 5%, or less than say 6%. Google it. So while PMS price has gone up, lots of people don't use PMS. Kerosene, maybe, yes, but not PMS. Yes, goods cost more to go from the farms to the cities, but the point is that the supply of food itself, that food that is coming from the towns, from the rural areas to the cities, is down. So even if fuel was free today, food will still be expensive because the supply has gone down because of the insecurity and the lack of investment in our agricultural value chain. They took too long to get this fact. That's number one. And number two, the optics of the admin have just been totally wrong. The first time I saw critique of the admins was when the president visited Lagos. And there was a long convoy of cars when he visited Lagos, SUVs, buses, and this was when he had removed fuel scarcity. And social media was saying, Mr. President, you can't take away fuel subsidy, then have a 103 car convoy. And the response was defense. What are you talking about? Should he walk? Should he use keke? Oh, go to, no, that was and that set the basis for everything till today we've seen. Once you critique the administration, oh, there's a lot of defense, irrational defense. We're buying a private jet for the president. Oh, do you want him to die? He has to have a private jet. Why are you spending money spend time on an anthem? Go to your village or whatever it is that they say. So they haven't gotten the tone from the admin. The optics have been wrong. Well, Nigerians are not adverse to suffering. Nigerians, I would say, even suffered more under the SAP era, where we were lining up to buy sugar and milk. But in that era, there was no government official buying private jets or listening up to the norm. People were lining up to buy sugar, and it touched everybody. But now, right now, you hear them give us time, bear with us. Then they are buying private jets, they are buying yachts, they are buying SUVs. So the messaging does not land. There's a lot of anger that people feel that the admin is not listening to them, calling the president. They are telling him to pick the phone. He's talking to the phone. Give me time. People are saying, pick up the phone, sir, and talk to us. No. He's talking to the phone. Give me time. Give me time. But he has a brand new, every day he has a brand new phone. But he's not picking up the phone. And the guy's calling him, I don't have money for credit. So two different camps out here. That's what's really going on. Before we go on, I'm done. Let me also just take a 1 minute digital minute to just in silence for all the Nigerians that have lost their lives because they were protesting. Yes, I saw pictures of people that were rioting and being unruly, but no citizen should lose his life because he went to protest against the government. It should never happen. Not especially lose his life via bullets. When you take guns with to a demonstration, that means you want to use it. That's exactly what it means. There are non-lethal ways to stop a demonstration. I saw water tanks, I've seen tear gas, I've seen rubber bullets. When you take live ammunition to a demonstration, that means you want to. It's not like you're protecting a premise. You are facing human protesters with live bullets. So condolences to all those that have lost someone in this protest. So now, guys, let's talk. I've got Doja. Doja was the first to hop in here. Doja, what's on your mind? Please go for it.
Thank you very much, Kalu. Good evening, everyone. It's very good to be able to talk to everyone and address them on economic issues, which I believe are one of the most important issues in our country as at today. So I was standing on existing protocol. I would just build out, flesh out a little of what Kalu said. Kalu mentioned that when you try to point out the use of these governments, they are always very defensive. So I would try to zero in and let everybody understand why. The reality is that after the APC primaries, or would I say the elections, APC was kind of fractured a bit. The intelligentsia in APC actually belonged to Yemi Osinbajo, or majority of the intelligentsia supported the Yemi Osinbajo candidacy. After the ticket was won by Tinubu, the entire Yemi Osinbajo faction was sidelined, and majority of those who think with their brains, when I say think with their brains, not with their blood or with their tribe, those who think with brains, majority of them lost interest in the presidency. I think what further compounded it is by the time the results, the article from the court case in the US, when that came in and people saw he had forged the certificates, men of integrity, stayed far away and refused to join up with the government. So pretty much most of the people that you think are in government now are those who are smart, are those who are masquerading to be smart. The real smart people who have some integrity and can think out solutions that do not selfish. Then the reality is that anybody who has an eye for economics and anybody who to the issues, guess what? Subsidy have floated the dollars. Any other person would have done the same. But what a lot of people do not understand is that those actions were more like a catalyst. It's like, let's just imagine that the economy is a circle. It's like those actions can be a catalyst for growing the circle or shrinking the circle, depending on the decisions you take right after. Now, after removing the fuel subsidy and, floating the exchange rate, whether you like it or not, those monies used to go into the pockets of Nigerians. So you've taken money from the private sector and you've brought it into the public sector. So to be able to enlarge the circle, you must take that money you've brought to the public sector and find a way to put it back into the private sector via productivity. So what should you have done? I think the proper thing that should have been done is immediately that was done, a minimum which should have been announced almost immediately. That would have increased the purchasing power of the civil servants and all the other people working. Then next thing you should have done was the gains from the removal of subsidy and the floating of the FX should have been put in the banks, not in the central banks. What I would have done is that would have given the banks excess liquidity and brought down interest rates rapidly. What that would also have done by bringing down interest rates is it would have given the manufacturers and all those, other people who are looking to manufacture, it would have given them cheap capital to use, you understand, to convert it to production. Now, when cheap capital is converted into production, what happens? The new purchasing power of those, whose minimum wages have been increased, would meet up with the new production that has been energized by the cheap capital being provided. And the products from that, those who are able to purchase, there will be consumption. They would have enough money to be able to purchase those new products and everything will be at par. Then the elephant in the room, we're talking about food. Food is the big elephant in the room. The reality is anybody who has a good brain on his head would have known from almost 2 years ago that this was going to happen. Now, when you said this was going to happen, you had all that banditry in the Northeast, illegal gold mining, and all those things. You have militias, and the farmers cannot farm. They can't go. And you expect that if we should, it's not because there's been an outbreak of pests. It's not, but it's because of lack of security. That should have been a priority. And if that was not a priority, as you see that you can no longer get supply from the rural areas, you must start encouraging people to set up hydroponic farm areas. And they just it would happen, that food would come. So we are going to suffer the result of that. That is what we are suffering now. Food inflation and supply. If there is more demand than supply, the price comes down on the supply side. It's very, very easy. So the major thing about it is, number one, they took all the money, kept everything inside the CBN. It's kind of like the parable of those guys that were giving talents and where talents is for anybody. Nobody's putting working. So that's number one mistake. Then even when the gains from the subsidy came in, you said you were going to give budget support to all the states, 5 billion. All of a sudden, your finance minister, who by the way I think is a financial illiterate, irrespective of his degrees that he carries, your finance minister says that if he gives 5 billion naira to the states, it's going to cause inflation. You just more than half, like to quarter everybody's purchasing power. And 5 billion naira to the states is a problem. So you now give them 2 billion out of 5 billion that was a mark for them. Honestly, some people need to be, they need to face a court for some of the economic crimes they are committing. Economic illiteracy it should be a crime.
I hear you. So Doja, I think you've spoken excellently well. I think you've sort of summarized really what the issues are, giving us the problems. I want to zero back in on the point you made about the subsidy. In terms of policy, removing the PMS subsidy was a good idea. Not just was it because it was a good idea, because we cannot afford it. It's not, the argument isn't that we can afford it, then Tinubu removed it, then we are suffering. I think people need to understand that we could not afford the subsidy on imported PMS. What Buhari also knew this, but Buhari used the total earnings to support the PMS imports. Then he simply printed 22 trillion. But
Sorry,
Tinubu,
Carlo.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry to interject. I just wanted to quickly point out something. When you mentioned Buhari, it got me riled up again. Buhari was a lazy president and a disaster. And Tinubu should have known immediately he came in. See, there were two assignments, national assignments he should have done. Number one was Nigeria's oil barrel production under Buhari dropped to now there are something $1,000 per day. And now there are something million barrels per day. It does not take anybody who is an illiterate to know the battle for economic survival is in the Niger Delta.
That's all.
Free station,
That
would have paid and then make sure you want to fully
Yeah.
the games and put stations to celebrate you as the best president.
Dodger.
You don't even need to build roads.
Dodger.
Yeah.
This was a point I made about the 90 days. In 90 days, if he had gotten, and Navy, because they are complicit, go and get the Western Navy to blockade the Niger Delta from stolen oil. If you blockade Niger Delta, then there's no more. You fix the banditry in the north and the middle parity, increasing revenue, the dollar revenues to your naira. That means naira gains. That means wealth is created. That means jobs are created. If they had done this in maybe 6 months of the administration, by now, there would be a totally different picture. But they waited, they pondered, waited till today, waited, and I think your comments are just fine. I want to make the point just so people understand. The PMX subsidy had to go because it was unsustainable. It's not that we can afford it. We can't afford it. It's priced in dollar. This means that the oil in Akwa Ibom, the oil in Abia, the oil in Lagos, it's not priced in naira. You have to pay dollars for that oil. You are here, Dangote is going to pay naira for his refinery. That's a loss to the nation because we've lost that dollar revenue. It's good for the nation. It's a subsidy. But we would lose the dollars that would have come from it. So I just want to get that point across that they waited and things got out of control. Now they are scampering and I think they're trying to catch up. Those are great comments. Let me move the room to Gideon.
Okay, sorry. Before you discard me or you take me off, I have just one last thing to add. I think the last thing I have to add is that the colossal waste of resources that is being spent on the Lagos-Calabar route is completely unnecessary and a white elephant distraction from the real issues. What I think that the better use or the best use they could have made of that money is to use that money to run pipelines, gas pipelines all around the country. You see, what nobody will ever tell you, and the IMF, World Bank will never tell you, is that what catalyzes developments is gas pipelines. As we put the gas pipelines there, place a belt, industrial belt along the routes that the pipelines pass, you will see the industries go there, they will pop up as time goes on. In the next 20 years, production in your country will be transformed. But they will never tell you. So you take all that money to go and do a useless route to Calabar when we are not industrialized. That's why I said as the people in the government just forget it.
Dodger, we can do both. We can have the gas pipes and we can have a road. The problem with the Calabar road that we already have an east to west road. We already have an east to west railway abandoned. You should and say the activity and jobs there. Now, when you want to start a west already, is the quote-unquote final destination. That's part of the country. You create those jobs there. That's where the real work is. So the real work is in the delta to build the bridges over the swamps. That's where the real work of that road is good. Not the nice flat land in Lagos, but the delta where you have the swamps, where you're going to really have a lot of problems. If you start from there, then you're able to introduce funds over there in addition to investing in those areas where you have the crude oil export. So you're doing a 2-for-1 where you are connecting your infrastructure to your critical resources of your refineries, your gas infrastructure, even your power plants. They are all in the south of Nigeria. So you do a 2-for-1, do infrastructure there, and then build that fast road to connect back to the east-west road, then connect the east-west road now back to the coastal road they're going to build in Lagos and I think in Ondo. That should have been the plan, not to scrap everything and start a brand new project that was going to be costing 15 trillion to build the road from here to Calabar. But let's move on. George, I'm not kicking you off. You just have to make space for other people. Gideon, you've got the floor.
Yes, thank you. Thanks everyone listening. Yes, first I want to sympathize with the families of lost Nigerians that were killed during the protest. Oh yes, yes, I listened to the speech. To me, it doesn't make sense. I was expecting people to come and say, I have removed one thing. I have stopped this. I have dealt with it. So I think I have two reforms that I was expecting to do more than one. Investment into Nigeria, but he never. Nigeria needs trillion in the next 5 years. According to Punch, 17th June, reported that Nigeria is going to lose 94 trillion naira in the next 5 years due to the foreign investment leaving Nigerians, multinationals. So I'm expecting President Tinubu to do more on foreign investment. So they need to attract all these investment that left Nigeria. I want to see him work on that. The next reform is agricultural reform. Yes, I want President Tinubu and Nigerian senators, all the people in charge to make sure that they are investing in agriculture. Yes, we need farm mechanization, bringing in equipment. Most of the Nigerians, part of Nigeria like the North, the Benue, Makurdi, Jos. So we need to actually invest in these areas, bringing equipment. Look at other countries that are doing well in agriculture. They never lack food. And if we pay attention, we will understand that most people are crying for hunger. Yes, that's what people are saying. Hunger protest, hunger protest. So I want to see Nigerian government invest heavily in agriculture. Yes, so if we invest in agriculture, I think some of the problem will come down and also help to reduce insecurity. Yes, if we pay attention, for the past 5 years, people don't go to their farm. I can remember when President Muhammad Buhari launched Rice Pyramid. To today, I think it's fake. It's not existing. Pyramid by President Muhammad Buhari's administration. So I'm expecting more in agriculture and food.
They focus on agriculture. Let me also read the nation. They said 570 billion for livestock for livelihood support, which is actually buying food to share to the Nigerians that live in the States. So that's what they say they are doing as regards agriculture in Nigeria, that they want to cultivate 10 million new hectares over the next 2 years that will be able to process food. That's their plan. But like I've said, this is coming too late. This is the ASAP plan. It's just coming, I think it was last month. Where was it a year ago? But thanks, Gideon. Let's get Abubakar. Abubakar, thank you, sir. You've got the floor. Abubakar Idris, go ahead. Gideon, thank you. Abubakar Idris, you got the floor, sir. Abubakar, thank you. Let's get Leslie. Leslie, please go. Yeah, Leslie, please go ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Carlo, for having me, and good evening, everyone that is here. You made the point where you mentioned, or when you said that subsidy had to go. In fact, for every reason, once upon a time we needed subsidy, but there comes a time when we never needed subsidy, because if you look at the wage bill, the Nigerian wage bill, it's not sustainable, and it's showing very clearly that we cannot manage the subsidy, or we cannot handle it, or even carry it as a nation. So President acted on the food policy, removing fuel subsidy, which is part of the reason why we got to this point. There was a time when I mentioned in your program, the coming, that has been sold for. Now, opening the border for me at this time is too late, too little. That border has built importer of grains. That is to say, getting these grains in large quantity and selling to distributors at a stipulated price for them to sell or resell to final users. Then again, I've also advocated on the need for the farms to be protected. Okay, look at the speech that the president made today. He talked about 10 million hectares. There are no 10 million hectares anywhere. Nigeria currently does not have 10 million hectares to give to federal government. The farmlands belong to states, and its governors and local government are in charge of those lands. So the president hasn't said how they intend to work with state government to get these farm lands available for use, and that's showing that the preparation to get grains growing and all of that through the farms is not going to be possible. And in last year's speech, the president did say that he's looking at 500 hectares. But 500 hectares hasn't been done. And here we're talking about 10 million hectares, which I believe largely is in the hands of state government that requires so much to even pull it out from the state governors. The farms are not secured. The president should be talking about how to secure the farms for people to go to. The farming population, how many youths today are going to food supply becoming a challenge in Nigeria? So I think part of what the government can do to alleviate the situation at hand, to instant business, so that young people can get into farming business and be part of the agro-industrial revolution. We are not going anywhere. We don't want to continue to rely on other countries as a means for grains, basic as grains. There are no subsidies for farmers. The subsidy we are really talking about that is in the petroleum sector that has been removed. Okay, as it is, let the government be doing subsidy for other farming implements. If you went to poultry, if you went to fishery, if you went to cattery, cow business, if you went to snail business or other kind of subsidies for agro business owners, the country is bleeding by the day. Reason, the food supply is very low and demand is high. So, as a matter of urgency, the government should be the one to take the lead in the farming business.
And let me just. I hear you. I think I hear you comment making. Just to come back to your 10 million hectares, when the government says that they've done 10 million hectares, that's very, should I say, stratospheric. That's a statement that, what does that mean? Like you first I read that Akumu Palm they armed out for security and all that. So the issue is still farmland, but even the existing farmland, okay, I've heard of Passenger Farms, Okumo Oil Palm, there's Apia Palm, there's a large palm oil plantation in Imo. Are those ones secured? All the farmland in the Middle Belt, in Benue, in Plateau, in Kaduna, are they secure? So even if we just go back to what we were doing in the past, maybe just go back to food output in 2005, it looks like we're even okay. I don't think the issue is if we import new tractors to new land. I don't think that's the problem. But the existing ones, Niger State is doing something major. You see Niger State mechanized farm and all that. But Niger State itself is even embroiled in a lot of insecurity. And that's where the problem is. Okay, if the food from Niger is out, where would it go from Niger State to Lagos or Abia, or what road is it going to pass through? What railway is it going to pass through?
Let me give you there's an angle I'm also looking at. Beyond the business, involved in farming. So in Nigeria, after the independence, we had military farms. What has happened to all of that? Since they believe in the farming business in Nigeria, it is simple. We have seen the situation. We are in a scenario where, a situation where, if nothing is done and we continue playing the ostrich, the situation will get out of hand. The people are complaining hunger. It is because the government has incentivized their income. Inflation has eaten up on any income and average income earner is earned. Hence, the military involvement in farming business taking the lead will also scare away. Let me say, for example, the military has 200 hectares of farmland, grain. You won't have a herdsman who wants to go there because it is a consequence if he's being caught.
But the military, the third armored division is in Jos, and that's the epicenter of the head-atomic clashes. Same thing in Benue. I know. I don't want to. Benue State has a lot of, and I mean the Nigerian Army really is based. Should we say the bedrock? Benue folks are all there. Kaduna has the army division as well, and yet this is going on. Kaduna is still in strife. I agree with your point. With the NYSC and the military, you have a farm, 100 defended by the military, mechanized, that's going to bring out high yield that you can then put on trucks in Kaduna Railway and take it all the way to Lagos. I see your point there, and I think it's something that can be explored. But the point is, currently, as we stand right now, the army is actually in the field, and yet this is still going on. People are still being killed because they are farmers. So you have to ask yourself really what the problem is. Leslie, we got to move on, yeah?
Okay. All right. So that's correct. The army are still in the field, and yet there is, insecurity here and there. This is because largely some of these guys that are at the field, they are making something out of this business. It has become something like a business, if you ask me. So I think if the commander-in-chief, the president, makes a statement or a drives a policy that puts the army to farming business. The budget we have allocated to guns, to buying guns, or for the defense, Ministry of Defense alone per annum, if 20% of it is channeled to agricultural sector for the military, that will yield more results and stabilize the polity. Make sure that there's food, that employment and all of that. Then let's look at employment. We're talking about employment, unemployment.
Leslie, if you could round up, Leslie, just so we can move the room, right?
Yeah. Okay, just a minute. Now, a family of 5, maybe all of them are graduates. You just have one that is work 415. The level 8 cadre in the ministry, federal ministry, is gradually, wiping out. And these jobs that the youth are agitating to get. So this is just a few amount of things I want to say. Thank you.
And well received and well said, Leslie. Well received and well said. Appreciate that. Thank you. Pilgrim and Earth, go ahead. You've got the floor. Pilgrim, you're okay. Abu Bakar, I had called you earlier, so I'm not sure if you're ready to speak. Abu Bakar Idris, are you ready now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
How are you, sir?
It's I'm okay, not really okay. It's very tense around everywhere here, but it's really nice to be here on this platform.
Do you mind me asking where you are? If you do mind me asking, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bauchi South.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay. It's really nice to be around here, listening from learned colleagues and getting to hear the latest developments and what should be done as against how things are going on. Better governance as we all are hoping for. So I can't really imagine the situation that's really happened. As I speak with you right now, my cousin has died in Abuja on the second day of the protest. I am a testimony to that. No matter what someone would say that something like that has not happened, I'm a victim. I had someone that's down already. So the situations around, you could see what is happening in the north. I'm not really happy with what has happened here. The economic situation is really, really bad. Some of us have not been to the north, so we only read about what's happening in the north on social media, on news, and maybe only get to know what people are telling us based on what we.
Hello, Carlo. I can't hear anybody, please.
We can hear him. Go out and come back in. He's speaking, so go out and come back in. Go ahead.
Okay. Like where I come from, if you go by the statistics, I don't really have it in my head, but people from the northeast, especially Bauchi, have the highest number of out-of-school children, and a serious government should be taking things like that very seriously. But instead of them doing that and taking into cognizance these metrics that really shows the government is working, the government is doing roads, the government is just doing flyovers, the government is just building new government house, things that don't really touch the life of the masses directly. And if we have not maybe put a stop as to like this is where we're going to do it right by making sure that our kids go to school, our unemployed like get some skills, and we just go ahead and build roads and do stuff like that only benefits some class of people. I don't think there's going to be like decorum in the society. Imagine you coming from this place. It really touches me every day. Now where I come from, like people are not really pressing on the government. I really don't know because the government. I am more concerned about the state, where like the state because it touches me directly. I barely have much input with what the federal government does because even as it's the supreme here, but I am seeing what the state government is doing directly. It has no touch with education. If you go to the health now, health sector, the whole of this local government, the whole local government with the general hospital, this is really, the education is really, really not good to write about. Just go by the statistics. People took WIAC, it's coming down in metrics like that when we're supposed to be doing very well. Now, a very agricultural sector, I haven't really doing much about that. I barely have anything positive to talk about the government. Like the government is not doing anything good. And when it comes to things like that, I think we all have seen it as it is turning out to be in the north. Like people are really crazy. People don't really have life. People don't know what's going to happen tomorrow as as it should be. People don't go to school, so I have nothing to lose. And people are just coming out north to show the world that this is the situation here. That I don't really blame them. I blame the government, the past government and the government at the present. I think we should call the government into order, economic wise and social wise and political
Just
wise.
if I, Abakar, if I, when you said the government, I know you said you said federal, state. Who do you really want to? Who are you belling? Which cat are you belling? The government, federal, state?
The federal affects us all, but in my own case, I see what the state government does directly because our education, our primary education is in the hands of the state government. Our healthcare, primary healthcare is in the hands of the state government. The state government is not doing anything with regards to that. If it at least doing something, it's getting a lot from the federal government. What it's getting around recently has doubled. They are not complaining because they're getting more from the federal government. If at all doing something, they stopped building flyovers and they put it into school. If they stop building government house, renovating it and doing a lot of things and putting it into healthcare, we'll see some things like that. You just don't pray that you fall sick in Butch's test. You just pray that you don't fall sick. It's something you don't pray that it happens to you. I think I have made some sense out of this thing. I'm really, really emotional as I speak right now.
Let me throw you a curveball. Let me throw you a curveball. Would you say under the 8 years of the past administration, what was better? Buhari's administration, when he was as the president?
No data. Like this government is just a build-up of what Buhari has done. They are like bits of the same feather, but it hasn't been this worse. Like, it's like we are just at the real stage where people cannot hide them. During Buhari, at least they could hide. They could tell us lie because once it is this real, we could still let it down. We are just seeing it at our forefront. Like everybody just can't find anything better about it. Just that we are just seeing it more real. Like it's real. It's affecting us all today.
Gotcha.
So that's my take.
And final question. You've lost someone. I am so sorry. My condolences. The president has given a speech on Sunday. Is the protest going to die off in Bauchi and the north? Is this it? Are we done?
Like people are really, you speak and nobody knows what may really happen to you tomorrow. Unlike people in maybe Lagos and Abuja that really have voices here, if something should happen to me or somebody that maybe try to speak out, that you may not have an idea that it has happened to them. So somebody like you may not have like an insight, or maybe you may not really have the information, so you could not really know where to start from as to publicity that something has happened to somebody down the north there. So these are the critical stories of people that try to do a bit of activism down there. Like the state governors and political elites there, they're like some super like mini gods that you just can't question you just can't question them. They do what they want to do.
I hear
In
you.
a real sense, somebody cannot just start building where they are not needed, where they have education. People should question them. You could imagine nobody is questioning them. It says a lot about who they really are. Nobody, if you try to challenge the government down there, it's a little bit down and they just don't want to do some things about education. I have a lot of pictures. I do a lot of things. I go around schools and taking some pictures of like presentation around the school. We just don't really have that voice to make it sell out. It's just
Gotcha.
locally.
Yeah, I hear you. Thanks for giving us that insight from the north. I think it's well appreciated. I'm seeing lots of messages and also notifications on that. Stay safe. That's the main thing. I think it's good that you've spoken. I think they have heard you. Stay safe. Just keep your head down. Let me take Damilare Odulese.
Good evening, Carlo. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, Carlo. Thanks for this space. Good evening, everyone. I will start from there's a statement you made me laugh. The statement where you said the government should have done blockage to safeguard the oil theft and all. And the question that came to my mind was if the oil theft is favoring the person who wants to do the blockade, do you think the blockade will ever be feasible?
Yeah.
I don't like to. Okay, you want to say something?
No, I didn't. Please go ahead, sir.
Problem. You can see the pollution. So you are not interested in success. A nation success, you just don't know how to go about it. You see, these ones are not interested. And it's clearly open, and I mean it's written on everything they're doing. So when I don't like the situation where we're trying to sugarcoat it and make it look like they just don't know how to do it. No, it's beyond that they just don't know how to do it. It's on the fact that they are not interested in doing it right. As far as it doesn't favor their pocket, they are not ready.
I mean, but that Larry, I mean, even if let's take you up on that. Like, even if I was the president and like you said, I'm not interested, but oil revenues allow me to make more money. Even if let's even be conspiratorial and say I want to steal money, right? If I stop the blockade, I have more money to steal. So doesn't it make sense that if someone would go out and stop the illegal theft? I mean, doesn't just make sense like that?
Yeah, let me ask you. Stealing the money in such a way that we will make it more transparent, and stealing the money in a way that it will be difficult to make it transparent, and you can always blame what people cannot see for whatever made the money go. Which one do you think is easier?
I see where you're going with that. Okay, no worries.
We don't have to deceive ourselves. They know what they are doing. You see when this Malta issue came out that Dangote, you see things that started came. There has been agitation that they are still paying subsidy, and they have been continuing Malta and all of those. See, they are liberate or it happens. We don't have just function to sabotage the country in their pocket. That's 8 years under the Buhari. I still saying it that after the people who ruled with Obasanjo's administration, the people who actually did Buhari's government with him are supposed to be one of the best brains of Nigeria. But yes, they decided to use that brain in the exact opposite way of what we expected. Tell me the people in Buhari's administration, tell me which one of them you will say is not learned enough to know the right thing to do. No, tell me. Is it the Babatunde Raji Fashola that was the governor of Lagos State that you will tell me that he doesn't know what to do? Tell me which of those ministers. So this guy is actually there's this level of okay, we have this mindset that we want to destroy this country into our pockets. So everybody is there for one thing. Should just make sure your pocket is full before the country gets destroyed completely. And that is the exact same thing that is going on here. When you look at this administration, okay, what they are doing now is impoverishing the citizen, whereas increasing the pocket of the government. And I can tell you, because they are the one in charge, we won't know now. Let anything happen and this administration leaves, then you will understand the number of billions of dollars that has been stolen at the moment. Because they are still in charge of the government, you won't hear those news. Let's call it a spade a spade.
I hear you. I hear
These
you.
guys,
I hear you. I think, yeah, good point made. I hear you. I get the point you're making. Let's hope. Let's hope it turns around. Hope is it's not a strategy, but I hear you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening to Nigeria. If you can hear me, Mr. Kennedy.
I can hear you.
Good. So, topic: what economic reforms in Nigeria do we see, and was the speech helpful? All right. At this point, of course, there are different stages of anger. For me, at this point in time, what we now need to do as a nation is to face where we are. We've already gotten into this hole, already gotten into this trap, and the question is, where do we go from here? There's no point of getting too angry again. We are where we are. And for me, to go back again to, of course, the government that this Buhari government and then what this government inherited and where we got to where we got to, which is that the president at Eagle Square made a speech to remove the fuel subsidy even when a cabinet was not in place, and then followed that up with the Naira devaluation, which was floating the Naira. And of course, that's got it to where we are. Quickly, the president's speech really didn't, it wasn't encompassing. There was so much things said, but it wasn't concrete in terms of actions that needed to be carried out. And what's economic reform? If I were in the president's team, if I was someone who could have access to the president to speak to him, if he could have people listening in this program that are speaking to him, what can we do? What do we need to do at the moment? The first thing is to ask ourselves, what do we have? At the moment, people have been making suggestions of agriculture, excellent. However, at this point today, we need to ask ourselves, what do we have? What can we quick wins first. And number one thing that we need to do, Kano, is that channel all of the oil revenue in the Niger Delta. Oil, it's all that we have. That to channel every single arsenal in his domain to be able to take up our production to 2 million barrels. The joint tax, everything, Navy that needs to be deployed, removed, changed, a reset button needs to be immediately set now, including bringing foreign technologies and gas. We need to take the oil revenue immediately up to about 2 million barrels so that we can have some revenue in our hands. Secondly, what do we need to do? Immediately, the president has already suspended some import duties on food, medical equipment. Excellent. You've always said this, he's done this, he's listened, even though he's coming in late, but it is still good enough. Let that be sustained at the next 1 year. For the next 1 year, let that subsidies, let it completely be removed. Import duties, the Nigerian Customs Service should immediately. There is no coordination. When the president is saying, I'm doing this, the customs are not responding. So let there be a response from the side of the Customs Service to immediately. I think you're speaking.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Let there be an immediate response from the customs to immediately respond to what the president is saying. Let the import duties on food, essential commodities, and medical equipment, all this essential to Nigeria, instantly be retained. It beyond the oil in the NMPC, because that is our cash cow. That's what we got. If the president is honest, able to see our daily consumption rate of 43 million barrels, we need to be sure fully. The president in the short term immediately needs to do all politics is irrelevant at the moment. Aliko is a national asset. Dangote refinery of 600,000 million barrels is a national asset that can save us a lot of foreign revenues. Whether it is giving them crude oil, whether it is in naira, whether it is in dollars, what needs to be done instantly is that the emergency needs to be declared, politics needs to be stopped, mountains needs to be leveled. That crude oil needs to flow to Dangote refinery. If there is support that government will need to give to him, let it be given to him. Now, again, in the interim, the government needs to come out and be sincerely honest with the people. The the president's speech still say that we have removed subsidy. That is not true. Government is still paying subsidy. We know that the landing cost on PMS as of today should be something between 1,001 and 1,050. So let us come all out and use this opportunity to be honest, say to the people, this is what we are doing in terms of this subsidy, or completely remove that. But then most importantly, number 5, the currency that has been floated. We can no longer afford movements of spiking up, spiking down, going to the middle. There needs to be stability right now if we are going to attract foreign investment. And what if the president is listening? What I would suggest here, where we are no longer going to have it all out. At this point, let us remove subsidy completely and then invest a part of it into saving the naira for the next 1 year. Since we are already suspending import, it means that we are not pursuing import-oriented export substitution. No. We are not doing export right now. So it means that, yes, we are encouraging import. Growth is stagnated a little bit, but let there be stability. Let there be stability on on the naira so that people can be able to bring also the much needed inflow of forex that we need. Again, in the medium term, transportation. These are the places that Nigerians are suffering. The CNG buses is become simply a mantra. Let the president go all out in his speech. He's there, but let us see it working. Let us see it working. These are the short-term measures. These are the short-term remedies that we need to do. Agriculture and power should be taken into the medium term. That is where they belong at the moment. Agriculture should be taken into the medium term. We cannot afford to get immediate results right now. There are issues of insecurity, so let them be taken down to the terms of medium term. So that's my suggestion. That's immediately. Thank you.
Talking about solutions, broke it down short, medium, long term. Totally. I had made the point before that the entire budget, we now have 4 budgets running at the same time. I wanted the entire 4 budgets collapsed into one budget, and even infrastructure should be paused, and the entire budget should be used for only health and human services plus importation of food. I made that comment about 3 months ago. I've been asking to import food since last year. So the entire budget, even the capital budget, stop it, and only health, education, and food importation. Everything else, stop it. That's what you do. You get through the hump. When you get through the hump, you can start talking about power. If you ask Nigerians, write their top 3 things they need. Top 3 things. Power supply won't be there. Power supply will not be there. We're talking about food. No, not even food. Water to drink. Water to drink. We're talking about food. We're talking about safety. 1, 2, 3. These are the top 3 things any human being in any part on earth wants. Clean water, cheap food, and security. Not the power, not infrastructure, any of them. So I'm going to address things. You don't have to do, leave water. Food, purity. You now have, like you said, you are taking care of your oil exports. You are now growing your export from this 1.6 to about 2 billion. Once you are exporting 2 billion barrels per day, your naira will firm up automatically. You don't have to do subsidy on naira. You don't have to subsidize naira. Naira will firm up. There will be dollars flowing in. It will firm up. So the subsidy is a subsidy on poverty. It's not a subsidy on naira or PMS. Nigerians can't afford anything that is dollar denominated. Whether it's PMS, whether it's Indomie, once it's priced in dollars, Nigerians can afford it. So I like the way you broke it down. Thank you, sir. Let's go to Tom. Let me get the name right. Torubari Fee. Torubari Fee. Public Health. How you doing, sir? Did I get that name right? Torubari Fee. Are you ready to go? Okay.
I'm not ready.
All right. I'll take you up to speed. I got you, Ugu. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, Kalu. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say to the guy who said he lost somewhere, I'm so sorry. I'm all praying for you.
Yeah.
I just want to say a few things, right? Let's talk about economic reform. I didn't actually watch Tinubu's broadcast because I don't really like Nigerian politics. I think it's just a waste of time in my opinion. I'm more about economics and how we can grow Nigerian business because I'm pro business and helping reforms that could give us stability. So
I just want to ask you, it's just a suggestion on what you think, just a few questions. Why don't you think, why can't the Nigerian government, why don't we try and invest in the short term? If obviously crude output is stagnating, why can't we throw our money into US treasuries? I mean, the treasury market is a $101 trillion market, obviously. It's the biggest debt market in the world. You see countries like Japan, even though the yen is having issues, they still hold the most number of US debt. So I'm just asking, in the short term, why can't Nigeria throw some of the money we have, limited resources, into that? And also, people are talking about growing sectors, which is fine, but my problem is reason for that. What are the relying on bank lending? Are we going to continue relying on that? Not have capital resource, because that's the most important. We have the right factories and all that. But what about capital raising? That's the biggest problem for me, from my research. And I'm just looking at securitization. Why don't we look at the banks, get some guys looking at their own portfolios, take some of these assets that they're not using or giving issues in the balance sheet, and put them to good use to investors through green bond financing. Those are the kind of things I'm looking at. And then, lastly, the guy that was talking about floating the naira, I honestly think it's a very bad idea. Look, if you float the naira right now, right, you're going to see a massive destruction of our currency because we don't have enough foreign exchange inflow. I think they did this back in the mid 70s and totally destroyed the economy because they relied on agricultural exports. And when their when their peso appreciated against the Brazilian real, it caused issues because if you want to, import.
I think you've gone off. See, your audio's gone off. Yes, I see. But I got both questions right. Number one, why don't we invest in treasuries? Number two, capital raise. Let's do capital raise first of all. You see, the market likes certainty. The market likes confidence. If you were and I always use this example, the guys that trade on Bloomberg are 23 campus. School and you read that the Nigerian Senate wants to tax banks. 70 new. He wants to tax banks. If he is on a beach, what had was to destroy the beachfront of the resort. He couldn't build a tunnel or a bridge, just destroy it. He's not going to invest in Nigeria. The point I'm making is that when you raise capital, you have to think that the fact that investors also read news. They want certainty of investments. They want to know that their investments are going to be secured. It has nothing to do with if you are from this tribe or from that religion. Money has no name. That's number one thing you have to understand. Number two, Nigeria is blessed with a diaspora. The diaspora can replace foreign direct investments. What I mean is this: if Nigerians abroad were all to send $10 every month to Nigeria to a revenue bond, you don't need foreign direct investments. That alone would fund. Already, it is the remittances that Nigerians send home, the welfare remittances, that is keeping Nigeria afloat. Imagine if you simply double that welfare remittances to an investment instead. We're going to do a revenue bond. We want to build a railway from Lagos to Calabar with spurs to Onitsha, to Benue, to everywhere. You would get the money. But Nigerians will only invest if they know that the revenues from that $10 are going to come back to them forever and ever. Nobody will go there and do a coup or disrupt it or say bring tax clearance certificate or come for NIN validation. They don't want all that stuff. So that's why you don't have the capital raise. We know the policies to do, but we've got to do the rule of law side. Rule of law. See, quote unquote, foreign standards. Just example. If I buy land in America, President of America cannot take that land from me. The President of America cannot take that land from me. If I buy land in Abia State, the councilor can take it from me. And you've got to have the situation whereby when rule of law is established, it attracts investment. America also looking for FDIs, and they get FDIs because everybody on earth knows that if you go to the court in America, you have a chance. Let's talk about your capital raising, this is a bit more now going into the weeds. The reason why China, Japan, Germany, UK, Saudi Arabia all buy dollar treasuries is because they want to keep the value of their currencies low. They are exporters. No nation on earth, and I'm going to shock you, wants a strong currency. No nation. I dare you to Google. You will see central banks saying their currency is weak, so they want to show it up. That's the strategy, right? But you cannot find a nation that says our policy is to have a strong currency. As a matter of fact, if you Google Swiss papers, you see them saying our problem is a strong Swiss franc. Google Chinese, Google Vietnamese, Google Indian people, you see them saying, wow, the currency is getting too strong. Why is it a problem? Google South Korean currency, oh, it's getting too strong. Why? Because when you export, you want your currency to be weak, so you make more profit from the American dollar.
That's true. But what I'm saying is, we are not right now, as of what we're speaking, we're not in the business of export. Like, that is out of the picture. If you look at the recent...
Nigeria exports more than she imports.
Okay. But, the thing is, when we all look at the whole thing, is like, everybody thinks, oh, we're not that. So I'm thinking, because from what I see is, if we're import-based, I think we should have a stronger. That's in the short. I think we should have it so that it reduces the cost of production for guys bringing in things into the country.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going. So if you ask me what Nigeria needs, a strong naira or a weak naira, remember, if you have a strong naira, what happens? Your imports are cheaper. That's why you hear Nigerians saying that in the 70s, Nigeria was very, very good. Not that Nigeria was very, very good. We had a strong naira. So we're importing things, but we're not making anything locally. If you have a strong naira, why would you eat Father rice? You can always eat Uncle Ben's rice because you have a strong naira. Why would you buy shoes made in Nigeria when you can buy Nike and Hugo Boss? Because they are cheaper. You can buy a Mercedes car if you have a strong naira for 50,000 naira. You buy a Mercedes car, 50,000 naira. Why would you buy an Innocent? When you have a weaker naira, it forces you to do local import substitution. So no country wants a strong currency. As a matter of fact, if you artificially go and make your currency weak, America will sanction you go and make your currency weak. America will sanction you and call you a currency manipulator, like they did to China. Shows you how they look at currency. So Nigeria's case is because our economy is not organized. So we want that strong currency to pay for the foreign education, foreign healthcare, and also the foreign goods that we import. If the Nigerian economy has to boom, what do you think will happen? The SMEs will take over. Look at this, what we have right now in Nigeria. $1 is almost 1,600. What should happen is that the local SMEs should now bring in substitutes. So instead of you doing DSTV, you have a Nigerian DSTV, like the one that we used to have in the past. So that would then cut demand for imports and boost demand for local products. What happens? Naira gains because you're now doing more local and less foreign. But the problem in Nigeria is that the manufacture in Nigeria is too expensive. So why would I buy local rice that is being made with generator when Indian rice I can put on a ship, bring to Nigeria, is still cheaper than Nigerian rice made? That's the problem. So it's not the dollar that is the problem in Nigeria, it's that the cost of production in Nigeria is too expensive so that we cannot compete with the dollar branded. That's really it. So, the last word, so we move on.
I was sorry you said, but I still think we need, if I was to push any public policy, I would want to have that stronger in the short term.
Sure.
But I've heard what you're saying about, treasuries.
It's paying 4%. But Ken, just final one. Let me just also address your point making. What the treasuries pay right now, 4%. It's paying 4.5%. This is an unusual return. Treasuries don't pay 4% in normal times because of inflation. So this is very, very unusual. Nigerian bonds are paying 8%. So if you had to invest as a Nigerian government, it's rather you buy your own bonds, right? It makes more sense to buy because they're going to make a return. Because inflation here, interest rates here, we're a younger population, we need deficit financing. So what is 4% really for us, for a nation that needs to really grow? So even I hear you are looking at the 4% risk-free takeover, but that's what we're doing right now. Where are our foreign reserves? Our foreign reserves are in dollars. It's not in naira. So we are invested in those treasury bills you're talking about. We are invested in them. We don't keep foreign reserves in naira. It's in dollars, in gold, dollars, euros, and yen. It's all in interest for us.
Okay.
All right, gotcha, man. Appreciate you coming. All right, I got Joe. Yeah, thanks to you, Joe Paul. You got the floor, Joe Paul. Joe Paul. Let's get Alien X. Alien X. Add one boy. Alien X, you got the floor. Alien. Dr. Adelaide Tinuke, how are you? Okay. Joe Paul, let's get to Joe Paul.
Okay, thank you very much. The network in Nigeria is being jammed up and down, and staying up there for a long time is always a problem. Okay, the kind of economic reforms that Nigerian need or seek for presently that will be able to make this country to get to the point whereby we can think of self-sufficiency. I think number one, this whole thing, everything I'm going to say are dependent on three very major things. Number one is the legislations in Nigeria, the Constitution. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. To what extent can it enhance, no matter the policy, no matter the effort or the energy of the people, the kind of legislations we have in this country, the kind of constitution we have, can actually not allow the economy to destabilize. Number two, dependent a clause upon which every other thing I'm going to mention here, just as bullet point, will depend on is the state governors in Nigeria. Their dominancy and the way they are demonizing the economy, they are always the one depleting the energy that is coming from the federal. Because if you look at the annual revenue from the federation account that is being shared, the one that goes to the local government and the state is about 64%. Now, all this money goes there and the governors are not doing anything. You go to the state roads are not done. The local government secretariat are in shambles. That is number two. Number three is the judicial reform and the rule of law. How long will it take if I go to court with somebody, I have a litigation? How long does it take as an investor to be able to get justice? Administration of what? Criminal justice and everything in our judicial system. So that the three major things that I think that the totality of all that we are seeking for in our economic reforms depend on. These three things are not working. We can never have an economy that is going to work. So now, number one thing to now for other things, we need to look at the security, because if security is okay,
Go ahead.
Okay, able to go, then the security wish that
I think your audio,
security architect.
Yeah, Joe Paul. Joe Paul, I'm going to have to let you go, but your audio is breaking a bit, so I might have to let you go, Joe Paul. I do apologize. I think we got the gist of what you are saying, that the structure of the economy of the Nigerian Federation might not allow this. That's a good one. I agree with that. I wish you had more time, but your audio is breaking up. If you don't mind, let me get Alien X, then I'll come to Doctor. Alien X, you've got the floor. Joe Paul, I do apologize.
Good day, Kalu. Thanks for what you're doing. I listened to your last space, the recording again. After I was on the space almost throughout with David Odein, I listened to it again, and it was really profound in what is happening in the Nigerian. I don't know if you have deleted it, but I recommend people going there to listen and get details about what is happening in the oil sector. what I want to talk about is, in the president's speech, he said that import duties for food has been removed. I think he said food and something else. The issue we are having with this administration is that most of these policies that are coming up. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So the issue we're having is that most of these policies are not felt at the grassroots. If you say you are removing import duties for food and everything, and then we are still buying a carton of Indomie at 10,000, something that used to be around 4,000 or 5,000, and we are still buying a lot of things still expensive, how do you reconcile all of this? So for me, I think there's I think people and the advisors or whoever is around him, I think the president is not really monitoring the implementation, does not really have the technocrats to ensure that this implementation is happening, does not even have the facilities to monitor all of these things, and it keeps on affecting us. Number two, I've heard you say that the subsidy has to go, it has to go. But I want to bring to your knowledge that Nigerians provide almost everything for themselves. We provide light, we provide water, housing. I don't know when last when Nigerians said, okay, this is a federal government housing scheme that we're benefiting from. Very few. In fact, the only few housing schemes that are there are situated in Abuja mainly. A lot of other people don't have it. We heard somebody complaining about education, how Bauchi is one of the worst in terms of education, out of school people. We provide every single thing. A lot of our children don't even go to public schools again. So, you saying, agreed, I understand that we do not even have money to fund it, but the truth of the matter is, it seems like it is this fuel issue that is causing major hardship right now, and we need this thing to come back. The president has to figure out a way to bring the subsidy back. I'm sorry to say, because we are doing everything, and we notice that everything has been linked to fuel. So I just wanted to get your opinion on this, and then what do you feel about what I've raised up?
You see, the problem with the subsidy is just that, the way it's been managed and the fact that it's not being communicated properly. What we call a PMS subsidy is actually a subsidy on government inefficiency. Head of state Abacha removed the subsidy on PMS, and we had PTF. And to date, in my opinion, that was the most effective public works project in Nigeria. This was after the development plans to date. So from PTF till today, I don't think we've had any public works program of that depth scale in Nigeria. If I'm wrong, please someone can correct me. From PTF to date, right? So when you come today and you say you want to remove subsidy, all that you are doing is you are saying that you are going to increase the money that will flow to FARC. That's all you are doing. When you remove subsidy, FARC gets more money. What do you do with the money you get from FARC? That's the problem. But Abacha used of the money to do PTF. When Goodluck removed subsidy, we saw Shopee. Yap Shopee all you want, but many things even till today are P. You are seeing this money that Tinubu is still giving to startups and all that. Under Shopee, that's when it all started. Under Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, buying buses, doing this grant to small businesses, nano enterprises, were all under Shopee. We saw that under Shopee. When Tinubu removed subsidy, where did the money go to? Was there any program? If you remember way back, they were talking of sharing 8,000 naira. 8,000 to people as subsidy palliative. 8,000. That's what we were talking about back then. 8,000. People made a lot of noise. They said, okay, we'll buy rice and share. Very offhanded. We'll just give, hey, governors, take 1 billion, go and buy rice and share today. They're making too much noise. There was no rigor, no strategy, nothing. Just they want rice, or they are complaining, give them rice, let them eat. And that's where they are. So every time people have complained, they find out that they are reacting. There's no plan, there's no strategy. It's a reactionary thing. Look at all what they've listed out. They want to do 1 hectare of land. They want to do trillion technical scheme. There is no strategy, no streamlining to say, hey, 100%, please, Walker, please mute your mic, please. There is no strategy per se to say we're going to align all this together to get somewhere. That's the problem, my brother. It's not to do. All subsidy is an increase of FAC. If you remove subsidy and you give all Nigerian students, you give voucher to say any school you go to, the Nigerian government is going to pay for your education. Then who will complain about high and expensive PMS? Who will complain? But if you take away subsidy from PMS, and that's the only thing Nigerians have enjoyed in their life, and then they are paying for everything through their nose, they are paying for higher education, higher health, higher food, then what have you done? How are you a government? If the citizens are on their own paying, so that's the problem with Tinubu's subsidy removal. He is the first guy that has removed subsidy without a palliative. Every other president has removed subsidy with a palliative. Even Buhari removed subsidy and there was a palliative. He had no palliative, and his palliative was nonsensical. Buy rice and share. That's not a palliative. That's what I do when I do a party. So you can come back, sir.
Yeah. I think I get what you're saying. That is very, very. Yeah. I'm still of the opinion that he needs to look at it, re-strategize.
It can't come back. So we can't afford. Just be very clear to you, sir. We can't afford the subsidy. It's too expensive now. We're spending about 3.5 billion. They will not say it, but Reuters has said Nigeria is going to spend 3.5 billion on PMS subsidy. That's more than health, education, and infrastructure combined. We can't spend that. Hold on. We can't spend that. So, Alien, are you okay, sir? Should we move on?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you. I'm okay.
Fully appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Tupac, what's in your mind?
What's up, Black man? It seems like we both fighting the same devil on different continents, right? Yo, it's a lot of stuff that's happening, right? For us, free energy technology, right? I don't hear nobody talking about free energy technology. Africa has the most best land to grow. Right now, I heard a dude talking about China. China is invested in a lot of free energy technology. They already have a lot of it developed. I post a lot of the videos in the purple pill. Like, bro, it's time to get self-reliant from these white devils, bro. The UN is controlled by the IMF.
Okay, bro. Okay.
I mean, my bad.
So I hear you, bro. This is a Nigerian space. We're talking about the protests in Nigeria. People have died in the country. We're looking at how we can afford to get the price of food down. I completely hear where you're coming from.
I know a lot of my friends are Nigerian, bro. We talk about this too, bro. Like, we all having the same problem, bro. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, we're going to have to fight this like we're going to have to do it here in America against these devils. And just like that, bro. It's the same people. You know what I'm saying? It's time to detach from that system, bro. We got technologies that we don't have to pay for gas and electric no more. We don't have to, they growing marijuana for they've been doing it for the last 100 years. It grows every 3 months. This can be plentiful. Nigeria has the perfect weather. Africa has the perfect weather to grow hemp. And you can make houses from hemp. Fireproof, waterproof, mold-proof, termite-proof. Everybody sticks together. Hemp plastic. These are all, this is a $1 trillion a year industry. That's what I'm trying to come to you about you talking about money and we can't afford this and that. I'm telling you that Nigeria, if they stop playing, they can come together and research about hemp, the plant hemp. You can make everything from this one plant. It's superior. It's the highest source of protein in nature. It's the only plant that has non-amino fatty acids. It has all 10 amino fatty acids, bro. Like hemp plastic is 20 times stronger than steel. They making houses from it, 3D printed houses. They're using hemp flushing. It's the paste that makes the hemp houses. China already been invested in this technology. I'm just trying to tell y'all to something different so we can get the fuck off, so we can become self-reliant. My bad, I just got that passion because I got black power and I'm a black American. So we got that revolutionary spirit, just like my African brothers do. I just wonder, where is the African revolutionary spirit? You feel me? It's the same group of people that killed up all the African revolutionaries, just like they killed all the American revolutionaries. They don't want us to be free. They want us to be working for them for the rest of our fucking life, bro. And our children, our grandchildren. Fuck these devils, bro. Let's get free. We got free energy technology.
It's a lot of African technology scientists that build free energy technology, man. Like, bro, it's time to get free. We can do it. We do not need these devils' help for nothing, bro.
Okay, just the point. I hear you. No, and I'm not trying to be flippant. What I'm saying. I mean, the point is that right now, that's where capital is. Capital comes from the West, so Nigeria and Africa does need.
Capitalists come from the Jews of Britain, bro. That's what brings the money. That's what the IMF is. We gotta stop.
Tupac, let me stop you. Tupac,
why is the black community?
Tupac, I gotta let you go. Tupac, hold on. I need you think all that kind of stuff.
Good morning.
Hi, Doctor. How you doing? Well, welcome all the way from down under. How are you feeling? Are you following what's happening in the country?
Yeah, I've been following. My twin brother is in Nigeria right now. He's trying to join the protest. He's been around for like 4 days, I think. Flew all the way from Canada to Nigeria. See how things are going. You know, he has a lot of investment, hospitals, and all of that. So he tried to see how I can help. Yeah, but I am not an economist, so I'm going to come at it from the angle where I am advice, where I have ideas on. And I want to say a few things. Like I said before, one time ago, I used to have a farm in Makodi, in a place called Agan. I had a rice farm, beans farm, potato farm. You know, I pay these people to farm, and then at the end, they harvest, they sell, we share profit, they go back again, circle thing. But then the Fulani herdsmen came with their cows, and they cleared a whole 2 hectares of land of rice, right? And this is a discouragement. So the government doesn't take responsibilities for things like that. Now, who will want to invest in farming, in agriculture, when they know that you can wake up one morning and everything you've worked for the entire year is gone and nothing will be done? And if you take someone to court, you can spend 4 to 5 to 6 years in court. And they keep adjoining, and in the end you're losing trial because you're spending all you have saved up just to get a justice. So the justice system is fucked up. The security system is in shambles, and then I think that the power should not just concentrate in the center the way we have it. I think that the policies the government should be looking into is how they could no longer share money to the government, because I think that if you are rich, right? Let me use an example. If you are rich and you have, let's say you are the first son, right? And you're rich, and you have other siblings, like 10 of them, that feed off you. You literally give them money every month. So every month you give them enough money to take care of their personal small needs, right? They can buy cream, soap, they can fuel their cars, they can carry their side chick, they can do all of those stuff from the money you give them, from the stipend you give them every month. You find out that these siblings of yours are not going to be up and doing. They're not going to sit up and want to do the right thing for themselves. Because they feel, at the end of the month, my brother Carl is going to send me money, and that's enough for me. And this is what the government are doing. The governors are not up and doing. They don't sit up. They don't do anything. They are very, very certain that at the end of the month, the federal government is going to share money to them, and then from this money that comes to them, they will pay salary and do all those other things. They get security vote, they spend it, so all of that money they get. Now they don't care about making money for the government. And that is why we have a country where the government is borrowing money to pay salaries. We go outside, borrow money, and come back and use it to a country that pays salary from borrowing money will not survive. Never. It's like a circle thing. It's like hand to mouth. You feed from hand to mouth. You borrow, you share. The next month you go back, borrow, you share. It's never going to work. But if the governors have the task of creating wealth, now every governor should create wealth, invest in their state. Now when the governors know this, they don't have any money to spend until they make money from their thing. They are going to sit up and work for that money, because now they need to make money to be able to pay their salaries.
So Doc, you are saying more or less like, do a whole constitutional review where fact, for instance, is derivation, not landmass, so that
exactly. Because it doesn't make sense when, let me say, when River State makes, let me just say 5 billion in a month, and let's say Kwara State makes 500k, let me say 500 million, and then they are sharing money now. And, they take the 5 billion that River State makes, and then brings the 500 million that Kwara State makes, and then shares money, and Kwara State is going home with maybe 2 billion. After making 500 million, they're going home with 2 billion. That is more than they are making. So the governor is never going to look at the lapses from his side that, I am not doing enough for my state. I am not creating wealth. But when they have to make this money, they will work. When you are contesting for governorship, you know that you are getting a job and not just going to steal. So whoever is going there has it in mind that I'm going to work. And this is how because I see Nigeria I see governors as a bunch of lazy people who already know what they will get from the federal government. So they go there and just share money. And this was what Jonathan complained about when Okonjo-Iweala complained about. When they said they needed to save from the proceeds of the oil we were selling, I think around $98 per barrel then, and the governors refused. Why? Because they want to share. Let us share this money. So Nigeria on this brink right now needs to start working, and policies need to be checked and rechecked. We can copy from countries that are doing better. I mean, there is no shame in going to Egypt to say, how do you do your power? How did you get to have the stable power supply? We want learn from them. There is no shame in going to a country that is doing something. I personally, if I am doing something wrong, I will look at someone doing it right, and I will ask, how do you do it? And then I will make amends. I will look at wherever that person is getting it wrong, you try to make amends. Yeah. There is no thing every year.
Doctor, I completely agree. Let me share with you a stat that I saw. I always hear. Hold up. Let me mute someone. Let me mute this guy. Okay, doctor. I have a chart here. I have a chart here from 1962. 1962, right? And it shows the amount of money Nigeria was making from our cash crops before we had crude oil. 1962. So we had groundnuts, we had cocoa, we had palm, we had oil. Do you know the Nigeria's revenues as at 1962 was coming from groundnuts? 40%. No, sorry. 24% of Nigeria's revenues came from groundnuts. That's about 41 million pounds. Back then, Nigeria used pounds.
Pounds, yeah.
Pounds. So 41 million pounds, or 24% of Nigeria's money came from groundnuts. Cocoa was 20%. Palm oil was 15%. The why I'm bringing this up is that, going to your point of governors and FAC, so the north of Nigeria was funding Nigeria with 24% from groundnuts. And crude oil came. Crude oil at this time was 10%. In 1962, crude oil was 10%. And they left agriculture, the north left agriculture and ran after petroleum, that was 10%. And now we have no groundnut exports. None. So as at 1962, the north was earning the foreign reserves for Nigeria, 41 million pounds. And crude oil was giving Nigeria 17 million pounds. But because there was FAC, the governors, not that they're easy, the governors go with incentives. If you tell a governor that whatever you export is going to go to the Federation Reserve, why would he waste his time doing any agriculture? He would simply go back to Federation Reserves, which is that's what the governors did. They ran back to FAC, and they had more babies because the country said, if you have more babies population, you get 30%. If you have land mass, you get 10%, and all that. So the structure allowed the laziness to take effect, whereby the North went from generating the most foreign reserves for Nigeria to becoming a quote-unquote dependent on crude oil revenues from Nigeria. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly where my point is coming from. Now everybody, from the federal to the local government, everybody is dependent on crude and crude alone. And this is danger for country, because should or let me say paraventure, oil falls out of business tomorrow, Nigeria is going to fall neck deep into recession. They will drown, that they won't even be able to swim. And by that time, going back to agriculture or any other thing will be difficult. So why don't we learn it now and go back to it? Because everybody depending on oil is like sitting on a keg full of gunpowder. It's gonna explode. I mean, oil just
Hello, can you hear me?
Who is speaking?
Hello.
Go ahead.
All right, so when if oil nosedives, Nigeria nosedives with it. The economy nosedives with it, and it's danger. So the government needs to sit down and look at everything we've been doing wrong, all the way from let me not go too far. Let me just say from 1999 upward. They need to look at it and say, okay, everything we've been doing wrong. Can we? If 1 + 1 gives you 2. If you are going with 1 + 1 and you are getting 3, 1 + 1 3, you know that you are doing something wrong. You check your working, you check your strategy, and you see what you're doing wrong, and then you go back and review it. We don't have to dwell on that constitution just because it was drafted up in 1999 or 1998. Why don't we review it and check what is not right? And I mean, technology is advancing every day. So we should review our constitution, even if it means every 10 years, every 5 years, review the constitution, check what is not working with the people, check what is no longer in vogue and take it out and put in other countries are going with AI and every other technology, and we are stuck with Mungo Park discovery for Niger. We don't even have our education system is messed up.
I hear you, Doc. Doc, I hear you completely. But I'm just intrigued that your brother left Canada to come to Nigeria to protest. Did I hear you say that at the very beginning again? I'm just intrigued by that.
Yeah. He said something to me before he traveled. He said the last time he protested, right? The last time he protested, it was because he was being paid too much as a medical doctor. He's a cardiac surgeon, or rather he's a cardiothoracic surgeon in Canada. And the last time he protested, I think in 2018 or so, it was because they were paying them too much. So the medical practitioners went to the street with their placards and protested against the increment. They said, you are paying us too much. We don't want the money. I mean, take it back to how much you were paying us before. It's already enough.
Wow.
So this time around, he said he's going to be protesting for his, native country, and that is because he has seen how things have been run. He has a lot of, like I said, he has been businesses almost every state. He has hospital in Ekiti, he has in Delta, he has in Jos, he has in I think in Enugu also, right? And then he has hotels, he has so many other businesses, chains of businesses. These businesses are run down continuously. He keeps sending money. So it doesn't make sense that the policies the government is making is just to kill the little entrepreneurs and PMEs in the country. So he just said, okay, he wants to just join 2 weeks. He requested for 2 weeks, and it was granted, and then he flew back to Nigeria.
Gotcha. Well, let him stay safe. We want his input. We want his investments to continue. The country appreciates it. I think these two will pass, and we want him to be around to invest continuously in the nation. So thank you to you. What's his name? Don't say his name.
Dr. Taiwo.
Dr. Taiwo is fine. Dr. Taiwo. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I will text you his Twitter handle.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you. Let's get First Light. Abdul Malik, I see you're next. Abdul Malik, you come out of First Light. First Light, go ahead, Abdul Malik. Okay, Abdul Malik, please go ahead. First Light is getting ready.
Hello, Mr. AJ. Very, very nice discussion. I'm really not an expert in the the economy, but I just raised my hand because I actually heard you had a very good conversations with one of the speakers when you just was talking about the the production cost of production in Nigeria. It is very high, as you just said. But a lot of the past speakers were talking about the Alicos refinery and how it's gonna help, reduce the cost of living in the country. And from what you've been saying, I've, been connecting the dots, and I'm like, with what you've been saying about, the cost of production and stuff, is he really, gonna bring down the price? Is hardship gonna, reduce, because from what you said, it's definitely not gonna help, right? Because he's still not gonna have access to electricity, for instance.
No, he makes his own power. The refinery makes its own power and all that, and it's in an export-free zone. So let's say the refinery is working today at optimal capacity. Prices will fall. Not just will prices fall, he will export a lot of product that would earn forex for the nation, and the naira will get stronger, which would then make fuel prices go weaker, because the fuel price cost is a factor of crude oil prices globally. So if naira is stronger, the cost of retail fuel falls. So the Dangote refinery is the single most important project today. I say it again, single most important project today. Any subsidy that the government can give them, they should give them. Because as it stands, they are the only ones that you can see a direct path towards helping the economy in terms of job creation, forex revenues, and reduction of inflation, be that refinery works. His problem is not really buying crude in naira or dollars. His problem is getting crude. Crude supply has fallen from about 2.2 million barrels in 2005 to now about 1.6, as I'm hearing the government say that they're at 1.6. At 1.6, we do not have enough crude oil to give to Dangote. Dangote refinery is 3 million barrels a day. He needs more than that. And he built his refinery in a non-oil producing zone or region or whatever. So the oil really should come from pipes from the Niger Delta to his refinery, or unless he wants to import. So a lot of issues there with Dangote refinery, but it has to work. We're not at the stage of should it or how it just has to work for the nation to reap the benefits. And so the fight that is going on is unfortunate. Why are we importing from Malta when we have Dangote right there? We shouldn't import anything from Malta if Dangote can take off that slack. But to your question, cost of production in Nigeria is very, very high. That's why when the Central Bank of Nigeria when you have a weak currency, for instance, in your economy, it stimulates exports because foreigners prefer your products. There's a space we had here where a guy said that they were coming to Nigeria to buy Nigerian cocoa and Nigerian cashew because the price buying from dollar to Nigeria is cheaper than going to Ivory Coast or Guinea. So if you have $100,000, it's cheaper to come to Nigeria and buy cashew because with your $100,000 you can buy more cashew because Naira is devalued than going to say Guinea or to Ivory Coast. That's the point of devaluation. But you want to export from Nigeria, you want to do a processing and export and add value. I read somewhere that the cocoa plant in Nigeria, I think we have about 15. Almost all have broken down, almost all. So that means we're exporting raw cocoa. And if you export raw cocoa, there's not much money there. But then if you process the cocoa and export it. So again, why don't we have the exporting? Because there's no power, there's no infrastructure. So it's cheaper to just take the cocoa, bag it and export it. When you can take the cocoa, process it and export and move up the value chain a bit. Give you a better example. Nigeria is the number one producer of cassava on earth. Nigeria, largest producer of cassava. Nobody comes near us. Thailand produces maybe a quarter or even a minuscule amount of the cassava that Nigeria produces. But the bulk of Nigerian cassava is gari. So we make gari and we eat gari. It's very, very cheap. So you can't become a billionaire doing gari, right? Thailand is taking their cassava and making ethanol and exporting to China. So they're adding value to the same cassava. So the value add on cassava in Thailand is higher than the value add of cassava from Nigeria. Because they can do it, their factories run on cheaper power. So they're able to create those jobs and create that wealth in Thailand from the same cassava. So the same thing, cassava, yam, mangoes, pineapples, everything in Nigeria, we have the raw materials. But to go from raw to process is what we feel. Look at rice. We have the paddy, but we don't have the pure polished rice. We have rice mills all over the place, but we don't have the rice. Cost of production. We can make it, but it's expensive because it's simply too expensive. We've got to get our cost down so that way the local products can compete with the foreign products. Right? If once we can do that, then that starts to gain value. It's not really, you don't have to be a scientist to get to know that, Malik. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did. And that raised just one last question again. Sorry, apologies. So what do you think really will happen? Do you think that the decline started with the past administration's policies of closing the borders? Because I think that was really premature.
Yeah, which decline?
The hardships. I mean, the decline in the economy.
I see. I mean, if you look at the chart of GDP per capita, or look at the chart of FDI, or look at the chart of pick any macroeconomic variable, and look at the chart of Nigeria, you would see it fall in 2014. Pick any chart and do it. Put inflation, put GDP per capita, put output, put PMI, put inflation. 2014, the end of 2014, you see it start to go south. So the problem with the Buhari administration was that when they came into power, they came in and oil prices fell. So what they should have done was to cut their spending and float the naira. But Buhari said floating the naira was, these are his words, like a coup. He went to Brigade of Guards and he told the Brigade of Guards that when he was a president, they came to him to float the naira and to remove fuel subsidy, and he said no. So they planned a coup against him. He was saying this as a new president. So imagine if you're the CBN governor or you're like an economist in Nigeria, and you hear the president saying that floating naira is a coup. You know what a coup in Nigeria means? It means they kill you. Would you do that? You wouldn't. So Buhari refused to float the naira. Refused. And when you don't float the naira, what it means is that you are taking your reserves to keep that peg. So all the reserves went to the peg, and the reserves also went to import expensive PMS. So that was what drained his money. He still didn't float. The person that floated the economy was Osibanjo. When Buhari went to London, Osibanjo then introduced this IE, import-export window. That's where we are still on today. It was that window that was then merged with under Tinubu's regime to make it one single floating window. So Buhari refused to float. We had the official return of Buhari. Osibanjo created the import-export window. Then Tinubu now merged the export-import window with the official window to create this new quote-unquote float. And it is that decision not to float and not to stop fuel subsidy that killed. He had no bank. And that's what caused the inflation, the non-productivity, the fall in naira, everything just came from that decision. And that's what we're suffering to today. How do you like I said, I put a tweet that Buhari left 0 kobo in the treasuries. People are saying, how can you say it's left 0 kobo? 22 trillion was $50 billion. The equivalent of 22 trillion when Buhari printed it was $50 billion. What was the reserve of Nigeria when Buhari left office? Was it 50 billion? So when you do net, he left not a kobo in the treasury, not one kobo, not 1 cent. I'm not defending Tinubu. I'm giving you the fact. Tinubu had his own issue of spending. But sadly, Mr. President Buhari was... Let me close the up like this way. There is not one macroeconomic variable that improved in 8 years under President Muhammadu Buhari. Not one. I have challenged people on name one. Take a macroeconomic variable, inflation, PMI, pick one. Show me anyone that improved in 8 years. This is after we spent 50 billion. This is not the debt, this is the printing. We still borrowed. So that's your answer right there, Malik. Let me go to First Light if it's ready. Malik, thank you so much for being a good sport. At First Light, if you're not there, I've got Akin that wants to. Thank you. First Light, you've got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, beautiful.
How you doing?
I'm good. Listen,
First Light, your audio is not good. Your audio is not good. Can you fix it for me?
Now?
Yes, well better. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes. So I've heard everybody spoken very well, and I realize that the whole emphasis is only on the president. Why are we isolating the state? Last month, last July has finished. Delta State got 40 billion naira. What's his name? Akwa Ibom got 28 billion. Bayelsa got 20 billion. And for me, you see, we can criticize Tinubu all we care. If those arms of the government, those state governors, continue to get this money and push the bulk of the ball to the federal government, no matter what kind of system you create up there, if these other guys are still living those sort of ridiculous life, I've said it time without number on this platform. If every state in Nigeria decided to subsidize food with $1 billion naira a month, that food inflation you are seeing is going to go down drastically. It's like saying you want to fly, and you don't want to use fuel. Because just 2 days ago, a governor in Nigeria decided to say, I don't give a shoot about the Supreme Court judgment on the leaving the autonomy of the local government, and asked the state local government chairman that one under his out of Algon, the Association of Local Government that he interested with that Supreme Court judge. A governor in Nigeria said that. And you know what shocks me is the fact that the people that were protesting had never even said anything about that. Again, everybody blames the president. Is it a state governor who gets 40 billion a month? The next thing he did is to create a ministry of riverine area. What is the ministry of riverine area, for God's sake? Right? And for me, or is it a governor who takes billions of naira as a loan and yet no investment into what we call agriculture that all of us are talking? We are all talking agriculture. We're all mentioning the federal government. No state government is investing into agriculture. Perhaps Niger State, perhaps Kaduna State, or few states. Every discussion here has been centered to the president. Who run a country like that? And I am sorry, guys, no matter whatever narrative you people create around it, if our states are not functioning, it's as good as the president himself not functioning. Because the neck will not work without, the head will not work without the neck. And that's what I always said on this platform. If the state governments are building houses, there will be low-cost housing. If the state governor, you just said what was happening back in the 70s when the states were being when the northern region were producing the so-called pyramid of granules. In the southeast, it was the palm oil. In the southwest, is the cocoa. Name one state now that is doing any of this. Rather, a state will build like for instance, Osun State Governor, 200 billion naira loan. And guess what he's going to do with it? He wants to build a flyover. In Osun State, that the population is not even up to the meter, you're building a flyover. And yes, people have enough hectares of land to do farming. I've said it time with that number. If each governor in Nigeria decided to build ordinary garri plant farm in their local government, you just said now Nigeria produced the highest cassava, but guess what? Our import last year was $1 million. And meanwhile, Thailand did almost 4 or 5 billion. And yet we are still the highest producer of cassava. If each state in Nigeria decided to say that in my place I will do garri for just local consumption, if it happens in Bayelsa, if it happens in Osun State, if it happens in Oyo State, if it happens in Ekiti, if it happens in states where cassava can grow, and then the places where can grow yam, or the places that can grow beans, the places that can grow tomatoes. Let each state invest into those areas. Yes, you can come up and talk to us about security. Let me tell you, people are hungry. Is the reason why people find a way to steal.
First Light.
I said to somebody, yes.
I think I agree with you 100% that I think the states get a pass. The states and the local governments are getting a pass in that we're not really holding them to account the same way we hold the federal. I agree. The FARC, if you look at the FARC, no, I hear you.
Governors.
No, I hear you. The FARC is more to the states and local governments than to the federal. I hear you. Let me read something to you. Somebody is saying that governors did not remove subsidy. Governors did not float the naira. Governors did not devalue naira. Governors did not create 40 ministries. He even said governor did not give us Akpabio. So what he's saying is this, right? That the states are hiding under the federal government. That point I concede, and I think it's totally correct. But the major decisions...
So it means that whatever analysis you give, if you exonerate the state, so you're saying because Mr. X is committing a crime, and for the benefit of my own people, I should commit the same crime. That's what the person is saying. Are they getting from that same money we're talking? Osun State used to get a federal allocation at 3 billion. He's getting 9 billion now. From 3 billion, he's getting 9 billion.
Yeah, I think
the so-called Delta State.
I think what he's saying is that when you devalue, right, the devaluation or the subsidy removal is a federal event. That yes, the states.
Advantage for the states.
Yes, he's saying the states get.
Advantage for the states.
Yes, but do you think that?
It's an advantage for the states.
Okay, I hear you.
So please, let me tell you something, Carl. You see, I am an advocate of when we say all these things. If this kind of protests were leading, if, for instance, when Oyo State governor decided to say that local government is over my foot, imagine the people of Oyo State come out and protest that, Mr. Governor, you have to let go of this. Nobody said anything. For instance, in Abia State, they are using mayor. Can you imagine the people saying, no, we want our own local government chairman? It's not constitutional. And or you go to other states where have not have these things. And federal government saying, we're not going to give you this money. Or are you talking about a state assembly? Even I hear people saying constitutional amendment. If you put the constitutional amendment together and send it to the state legislator, if the state do not approve it, it's not dead on arrival because the governor controls those things. We need to free those things from the governor. And for you to free those things, go through the National Assembly. Hello? It's another issue on its own. Do the Republican system come to Supreme Court?
Sorry, am I home? I can't hear.
Please, you have to wait.
If I'm home, okay, let me.
Why is everybody going to Lagos for judicial issues? Because when you get to Lagos, the judicial system in Lagos is the only functioning judicial system in Nigeria. That's why people.
Lagos State is the only functioning judicial system in Nigeria. Did you just say that?
Name one state. Name one that is better than Lagos. Name one.
So no, I hear what you're saying that Lagos is the only functional judiciary in the whole of Lagos.
That is why is every cases want to be done in Lagos. Give me.
No, the case are done in Lagos because most of them are commercial, probably. So it must originate in Lagos. That's why it's in Lagos.
That means you're go and listen to Agbakuba. Go and listen to Femi Fada. All the major lawyers in the Lagos judicial system is the best.
No, I'm not saying it's not the best. I'm saying you are saying it's the only. That's what you said.
That's why I'm asking you. Please name another state where is it you want to talk about which state? In Kano of recent, we saw what happened.
No, hear what you're saying. No, I'm not debating that. I'm not debating that they're the best. I think they are the best. I think they are very, very organized in Lagos State. They have the open door. They have the fact. No, hold on. First, like you want to. I don't want to talk over you. the point I'm making is that you are saying they are the only. That's where I'm calling you back on. They are the only.
Okay,
And you're asking, so if I can't name a state, that means you are right that they are the only judiciary in the whole of Nigeria. Only Lagos State?
So I want every state to be functional. That's what I want. If our states are functional, if our local government are functional, in fact, our local government needs to be functional first before the states. If the local government chairman knows that no governor is coming after him for the money he's getting, and then if the guy messed up, the people of the local government can hold him to ransom, he has no immunity, EFCC can pick him up. I am telling you,
okay,
the tension to the center will be reduced.
First, I agree with you. First, like again, I've agreed with you. I think your comment about that the states and local governments get a pass, I completely agree. If in America, states are called the laboratories of governance, where you go to your state, you do things in your state. If it works, other states copy. I completely agree with you. The only part I want to bring you back to is this, right? If I am a state governor and the government increases my FARC, the major decisions for inflation, which is the national security, because inflation is a national security decision, is the army fighting a bandit. That's not a state issue, right? The subsidy is not a state issue. The floating island is not a state issue. So, and these states you are talking about are from the same party. It's like the Democrats in America are saying, oh, the Republicans have done this. It's the same party. The governors belong to the same party. Why can't they all sit together and say, hey, we control the state, we control the House, we control the Senate. Let's do something to show that we are really in control. That's the only part where I would push back on First Light.
So, Kalu, I don't discuss. The reason I don't want us to make it states party thing is that Delta State is not APC, right? Abia State is not APC. Kano is not APC. Because if we want to do it the party way, my point is, if we say it's not their business to remove subsidy, it's not their business to float the naira, but it is their business because they make more money. So they then use that money to better the citizens of their state by giving good hospital, by giving good road, by investing in agriculture and subsidize food at the state level. That's what I'm saying. That's not a rocket scientist to do because they're making more money now.
Okay, well said. I will let up. Yeah, well said. Thanks. Thanks. Let me get Akin. Then I'll go to Ken. Akin, go ahead.
Hello, Carlo. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can. Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah. So good evening, everyone. I basically just want to really hammer on one central message about what I feel the reforms that Nigeria should do. It basically boils down to investment. I think the thing is, we can talk a lot about how you want to cut spending, you want to increase spending, you want to decentralize things to the states. I'm not even so sure even decentralizing policy making to the states would necessarily bring better outcomes. I think if like anybody that really knows the Nigerian system or has interacted with the Nigerian system will know that on the local level, it's not as if things are actually worse on the local level. So the closer you get to the local level, the worse the level of government and policy making and everything. It's pretty much like if you look through different strata of Nigerian society, you see federal universities tend to be better than state universities. Federal healthcare centers tend to be better than primary healthcare centers that are run by states. Even education too. You see that in primary and secondary school education controlled by the state, the fund bullet and everything. So I don't believe that decentralizing would solve the problem. Onto the bigger point of investment. The thing is, almost all the conversation we're having here is about getting foreign investors. If you look at Nigeria's investment share of our GDP, I looked at it a few minutes before I got on the stage, and it's about 17%. Give or take, say 18%. Now, you cannot, we cannot get out of this slow growth that we found ourselves over the last decade with a 17% investment rate. It's simply not possible. Even developed countries like Norway, Sweden invest about 22% of their GDP. And even at that, across the developed world, they are having a productivity crisis. Maybe not as bad as, say, in a place like the US or the UK. But even in Sweden, they are still experiencing a productivity slowdown. Not to talk of a country that needs to catch up with the rest of the world in terms of economic growth and in terms of per capita income. If Nigeria continues to invest at the rate that it keeps investing, it will never get out of the situation that it's currently in. Whether you do all the deregulation you want to do, whether you do all the naira floating you want to do or not. Now, for you to get to that point of where you are investing 30%, because that's really where we need to go to. We need to get to a point where we're investing 30%, 40% ideally of our GDP. What would need to happen is the government would have to step in. So when people talk about, we need to cut spending, it means that investment will also suffer. You could say, maybe you're going to reduce cost of governance, as you always hear people say. Cost of governance means what? Civil servants, really. That is where the chunk of the quote-unquote cost of governance is. If you are going to, if you think cutting cost of governance, and by that meaning cutting number of civil servants, is a good policy position. I'll give you this example. If you cut cost of governance and you cut the number of civil servants, just know that in a good chunk of the southern states, let's not even talk about northern Nigeria now, but just in the southern states, you'd have an economic crisis probably within 1 quarter or 2 quarters after you do that. So if we're talking about cutting spending and everything, Britain did it in the 2000s. They cut the spending of the government. And what did they find out? They found out that investment fell, productivity, of course, was in the gutter, and they are currently in serious economic problem right now. Yes, unemployment is low and the like. So what we need is the government needs to actually go out and do investment, both in capital spending and incentivizing, strongly incentivizing and discouraging companies from frivolous spending and individuals too on frivolous spending. And even the financial sector, it has to re-engineer the financial sector to push much more investment into key sectors of the economy. We can't simply, as a developing country where we have a shortage of capital, just say, people can just invest whatever they want. The government has to direct it. Now, what do we really need the government to direct it? So, what do we really need a lot of investment in? We need a lot of investment in manufacturing. We need a lot of investment in value addition. We need a lot of investment in agriculture, because Nigeria is not even producing enough money. On a good year, Nigeria is actually having a shortage of a lot of the critical foodstuff that we consume every year. So from rice to beans to fish and the like. So we need to direct where the investments go to. We need to strongly incentivize savings and also companies to be investing. We can't continue in a system where they're saying, no, we should just cut spending, we should just make our country, quote unquote, suitable for foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment will mostly just go to places where they feel they can get quick money and they can withdraw the money out of the economy. But if we are incentivizing local investment, not simply just saying, Dangote is this, and then we basically live or die by one person's investment. But we have dozens of that scale of investment going on in the country. I think you would find a very different society. Cheaper food, more jobs, better paying jobs, better infrastructure, better quality of life. Yeah.
All right. I quite like that. I like the planned approach. We've got to be deliberate. That's the word I hear you saying. Deliberate about how we invest. Completely agree. All right, let's get Ken in here. Then John later.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's a little weird because I can hear only you. I can't seem to hear any other person.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Yes, I can only hear you, but I can't hear. I mean, Akin just spoke. I didn't hear anything from him.
Wow. You want to go off and come back in again. Usually happens. But go ahead and yeah. If you want to do that, you can do that, and I'll let Malam. Then we'll come back to you once you're here. Just a quick yes. Malam, please go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Kalu. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Oh, thank goodness. Yes, we are where we are today because of so many reasons. But let me just quickly say that honestly, I don't subscribe one bit to this holding state governors responsible for the sins of, resources are generated from the state. All of the resources generated from the state are first of all moved to the center, and then it is now distributed back to the state. So the tone at the top is very important. If they see the body language of the president as somebody who wants to do things right, everybody will fall in line. You don't need to be, I think it's just majoring on minus as far as I'm concerned.
But to be clear, Malam, they did get the money.
Yes, I agree. But is there a program, a government that removes subsidy? I expect that you have a project management office. We can speak forever about the incompetence and the recklessness of this government. Something as sensitive as subsidy removal, you just came announced, and after you announced, you were just scrambling for solution. You have some management office. It's clearly laid out of how you help Nigerians navigate the turbulence that will happen, because it was obvious that it was not going to be easy. And then you coordinate with the state governors. Please, let's stop gaslighting people. You are supposed to have a project, a portfolio management center that will coordinate with the state governors with specific programs, smart objectives, where you tell them by so time this is what we need to do, because we have studied the subsidy removal and we have seen that X, Y, and Z are going to be the impact. Yes, you are not going to force them. Everybody has their own rights, but you must have your program and you must be committed to it. Not all this propaganda that people are just saying, Anyway, that's not why I'm here. I just wanted to quickly talk about our main problem that so many people are not talking about. I think Naira devaluation is at the center of our problem. It affects everything, including subsidy. Honestly, I believe that what we should actually be asking for is to tell the government that obviously 1,600 is not sustainable. It does not make any sense. It does not help us in any way, because the main reason why you devalue your currency is to encourage local consumption and then cheaper export to gain price advantage in the export market. If you have the same level of quality, right? So people can buy your product, cheaper product from you, and then you get more sales, and then you also discourage imports, provided that you have local substitute for those products. So the economy grows, everyone gets better. But our situation is completely different. The major product that we put in the global market is priced in US dollars. Case closed. So this story around we have to, devaluation of Naira and all of that, it just doesn't make sense to me. And then the approach that the CBN governor took to say, okay, look, we want to deal with. I agree that multiple exchange rate window is also not good. It's fraudulent. The arbitrage gap is creating wealth without enterprise. I completely agree. But it is not a very simple solution. The approach that these guys are taking are very complex subject matter. The simplistic approach is very annoying, and honestly, they should be apologizing to Nigerians. You just took the black market rate under the three kind of market. That's your indicator, and then you just merge everything because you wanted to close the arbitrage gap to deal with your political opponents and to deal with people people who are not aligned with you. And that's why, and since then, they've lost control. It's been one from propaganda to the other. If you saw all of the positive statistics that the government rolled out, you'll be wondering that this government is doing this much, and we're in the same. So where is it? Where are all the issues? Anyway, I know that I'm soon going to run out of time. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think things are sustainable at this level. 1,600, 1,500 naira per dollar is a no-no.
Yeah, but why is it that price? Why is it 1.6? Who made it 1.6?
So there's a lot of fictitious demand. You know, there's a lot of pressure in terms of, and this is where I also blame the government. So when they went after Binance, we thought that okay, they found the solution. But as things would turn out, it just gave a temporary reprieve, and then things started turning out of their hands again. So I believe that there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes activities. People in government are benefiting from a weak naira, and we're not just going to get the truth. So I believe there's a lot of manipulation going on.
I'm just saying it just for people that are listening, right? So remember, I gave a summary just before you X amount of currency, vice versa. So Nigeria has had a range, maybe it's 50, 100, 200. What that means is that if you go to the Central Bank of Nigeria and you give them that naira amount in your hand, it will give you the dollar equivalent that is fixed. That's what the fixed exchange rate means. And we've had that for a long. No, I'm going to just a clarification on what you're saying, right? Let's put when we had Obasanjo in power, we exported about 2.2 million barrels. Much dollars, we had 60 billion in our foreign reserves. Soludo was the CBN governor. Remember him, Google it. He was telling people, if you hold dollar, you're going to lose money. And people were rushing to sell dollar because they knew Nigeria had 60 billion. Gold also exporting crude, saying you couldn't attack the central bank reserve because the central bank sufficient reserve. As a matter of fact, in 2008, when we had the global recession, oil prices crashed. The Nigerian economy did not go down because we had FX reserves. If you come to today, the difference today is this. When Buhari came to power, oil revenues crashed and he did not devalue. So he kept that naira exchange rate fixed. Which means if you go to the Central Bank of Nigeria with your naira dollars, but the real price of dollars is much more expensive. And that's what created the arbitrage. The former CBN governor Sanusi said this: to become rich in Nigeria, you get a note saying allocate me $1 million. You get your $1 million, you sell it to the black market, you pocket the difference. The subsidy retained by Buhari, the forex subsidy retained by Buhari, is what created the quote-unquote speculators. He created speculators by fixing the naira and refusing to devalue. Osinbajo now created a second window, the import-export window. That was a devalued window. So you had two and even multiple exchange rates in Nigeria. You had the fixed formal rate, whatever rate name they call it, and you had the devalued or depreciated rate that was from the market. All Tinubu did is to merge both of them. So you now have the real rate. The real rate is not the CBN rate. The real rate is what the market, what you and I say the rate is, not CBN. If CBN says our rate is not real, let CBN now give us that, which is what CBN was doing when they were selling dollars to BDCs at 1,002, 1,001. CBN was trying to tell you and I that our rate is not real, that their rate is real. But where has it led us to? Your reserves have been depleted and you are now at 1.6. We are chasing shadows. Yeah. Soludo, not Soludo, MFLA cuts down trees to save Naira. He cut down trees. I'm not being literal. He went to Abuja, he cut trees, and said if he cuts down trees, Naira does not have shit to exchange Naira under, so Naira will gain value. Is this nonsense we've been doing since today? If you want to make your dollar go up, export more crude oil. Period.
Exactly. Let me just quickly say something. Let us not forget that Naira is not a tradable currency, first of all. So when people talk about the market is not an efficient market. The market is laden with a lot of corruption and inefficiency. And so
it's the market. That's the point. You guys keep getting wrong. The market is not corrupt or inefficient. The market itself is a market of a willing buyer and a willing seller. You can't say, listen, if you go to the sweet shop, you take a child to a sweet shop, he wants to buy sweets because he's greedy and because he likes sweets. It does not eliminate the demand because it's greedy and self-centered. It's still demand. If you create a market, because I am a speculator, does not mean that my demand is not real. If you say you want to kill speculators, you devalue. That's how it's done everywhere on earth. You can't put a fixed rate and then call me a speculator. You created the speculation, but now that it's 1.6, do you see people holding dollar again? Nobody. If you have no business with dollar, you can afford to hold it. That's the whole idea of a fixed rate. If dollar was 700 naira today, every government official will hold dollar today because it's from the government. I'm making this point up for people that are listening. The problem with Nigeria is we think that the market.
Let me just comment from this perspective. The reason why I said that the market is inefficient and it is fraught with a lot of issues is that it goes beyond just willing buyer, willing seller. The market can be easily manipulated. The market can be, for example, imagine people with proceeds of crime, kidnappers, and all sort of, illicit flows that are able to easily, without any serious KYC, into that market and create a lot of, and just mop up.
You are just repeating talking points of the guys that want to. The global market for currency in the whole world, the global market is about 6 trillion. It's not regulated. It's not regulated. This has nothing to do with Nigeria. If you want to buy dollar today, download the app on your phone. You will buy dollars today on your phone. Has nothing to do with Nigeria. Are you saying that the whole world has no crime or no terrorism? So how does America stop it? KYC. So with the point I'm making, sir, is this. You can't say speculation by trying to fix a price.
Sorry, let me just wrap up. Mr. Kyle, let me just wrap up on this note so that I don't lose my train of thought. So what I wanted to say, sorry, 1 second, please. 1 second. So I think somebody's mic is on. Please, yeah. So what I wanted to say essentially is that I've seen a lot of analysis. I think Naira is seriously undervalued. Yes, you might say the market is efficient just the way it is. Naira is not a tradable. There's something called non-deliverable forward. If you go into futures and forwards, Naira against dollar, you are not going to be able to get to exchange Naira. You actually have to look for the dollar equivalent of Naira to settle that transaction. It's a bit complicated, but let me just keep it that way. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that the thing that these people should have done, it takes about 3 to 9 months to drill an oil well and put it online and hook it up to product. It depends. Some will take 3 months. If maybe deep offshore, 9 months maximum, because there's a lot of efficiency now. I'm aware that there are highly prolific fields as we speak that are with MPDC. I don't know if they still call them MPDC. There are drilling programs that are waiting to be approved with this government. There are oil and gas accents of the Minister of Petroleum, which is the president to drill agency in this government. That's one side of the story. There's a lot of grow our production. And I know people say a lot of things. People actually do not know everything about this industry. And this is our crude has been, our future has been no price. So they take a particular volume of your crude and put a lane on it. And you have all your crude that you produce. It's just as an interest comes around. Then they assess the situation, whether the price times volume is still enough to make your debt reserve account. If it's not enough, you add to it, they may take more volume. If it's still enough, in fact, you find that in some situations, volume might be lower. So all this narrative that could have been, no, there's nothing like that. This government, they have done it before. They went into modified carried arrangement with all of the operators at a time when government was challenged with, particularly funding the capex, in the oil industry. And Shell, Chevron, Mobil, Ajib, all of them agreed inside the JV to fund the programs so that they will now recover later from production. So that allowed, what I'm trying to say is that if this government is not, they're just focusing on irrelevancies and they're not attacking the places where we can feel the most impact by saying, look, if we take our production to just 2 million barrels per day, there is more than enough because it's a simple task of if you have any legitimate USD demand, the CBN will be able to give you your Naira card, will be able to do dollar purchases. And then the confidence will come back, and then we'll be able to solve most of these problems. You see, FX is a component in everything. Fuel subsidy, FX is there. Electricity subsidy, FX is there. All these food items, there's second order, there's third order inflation effect. I hope these people can see. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying that I'm not against floating of Naira. I'm not. But my problem is that when the fundamentals are made and you just scenario with a market that is a little bit liberal, I think our activity should be range bound. I'm not saying it should be fixed, but there should be some sort of stability around where it cannot go beyond. Once it's beginning to trade above that range, CBN needs to come in. And then when we get our production on track, then we'll have more room. Nigerians don't have any business going through all of these problems. Now, this government has wasted time.
All right, so
I'll wrap up. I'll wrap up in 10 seconds. They wasted time focusing on things that don't matter. They have not put enough momentum behind tackling the problems that the places where we can feel the most impact. That's what I just want to say. Thank you, sir.
All right, appreciate that. Thanks for coming in here. Really do. Let's get Wale. So Ken is back. Ken, if you can speak, then I can take Wale after you.
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Okay, quickly, let me just make my submission to the subject today. Yes, another opportunity has been thrown away. The president has thrown away another opportunity. The protesters, Nigerians asked for something. This is the first time in our history that Nigerians are protesting west of their nose. We are talking about three different evil forces fighting Nigerians now. High inflation, FX devaluation, or currency devaluation, and then you are having subsidy removal in all forms, electricity subsidy removal, and then fuel subsidy removal. And these are three important, line items that you want at a very sustainable level to ensure that there is no uproar and protest and riot like we've had in the country in the last 4 days. The president came out and gave. For me, it's a very hopeless speech. I mean, this is supposed to be a renewed hope administration. But, I mean, all the line items in his speech did not address any of the points. In fact, as a result, after that speech, we left Nigerians even more hopeless. Because Nigerians were expecting some sort of succor to come from the president's speech, to address that would directly add value to their pockets. That's what Nigerians were ready to see at the end of the day, but nothing else. You can't always in these states and expect that there won't be any reaction from them. The protest will not end here. The reactions from the citizens will not end here. The government, the federal government needs to come with measures that will provide support, not palliatives. I'm not talking about palliatives. Palliatives are failed. We've seen that during COVID, and it will never add value. The first step, I would say, which I think they've done, I don't know if they've truly done it by removing tariffs on food imports and all that. Exactly what that food import is, we don't know. But what we would like to see in the short term is staple foods. That staple food that flour, sugar, rice, and all that. We should allow import of that. When it's developing countries would develop a very expensive. That's where Nigeria is right expensive product. As a matter of fact, our GDP has been halved. We're over 500,000. I mean, within this APC regime, we are down to 250 something thousand, 250 billion right now, which is unprecedented. It has taken us back to our 1980s level when we are talking about more than 40 years backwards as of today. Productivity is low, and the one thing that can be done to help with productivity right now, it's not for them to only focus on the macros, increasing our oil output, crude oil production. And those things are good, yes, to finance our growth. But we need to also focus on the macros, on the micros rather, because now Nigerians are talking about food. And if they are talking about food, the only way you can add value to their pocket is by ensuring that people have transportation. It's almost impossible right now. But looking at the fact that energy is an important component in our country, there should be some form of subsidy to you, and I would like to expatiate a little, because that's where I see a solution. That is where I see a possible landing point. If you have your car, if you have your personal car, go and buy fuel at the full price, 1,003. That's where the full price should be today. But public transportation, it's unfortunate that our public transportation is largely in the hands of private individuals. No problem. But we have a very strong transport union calling out to you, and almost every transporter of these people, and have designated filling stations where a particular amount of liter is to run their businesses, to bring down the cost of transportation. And that will have a direct impact on price of food also, because the rural farmers, where their farms are located, it's these vehicles that still bring their produce to the cities. Before the diesel trucks take them from one state to another where they are consumed. This is required in the short term to provide some sort of support, not 40,000 naira rice. At the end of the day, we know who are the people that will buy this rice at this amount. Nigerians don't only eat rice. Nigerians eat yam. They eat palm oil. They eat millet. They eat other things. So we shouldn't just focus on rice. It should be focused to be on the agricultural sector. The focus should be on the energy. I know on the electricity, it's almost impossible for that subsidy to can focus on that and ensure that the service level agreements that have been established in this program, ensure that they stick to those requirements and meet those thresholds for it to be in that. The two things they need to focus on is that agriculture and transportation. It is critically important point, because the switch against any of that, and it's even hopeless afterwards. This is what I would like to say. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Guys, we'll spend about 2 hours, 30 minutes here talking really about the Nigerian, not just the protest per se, but what kind of policies we want to see the government, tackle. We've talked and lots of great ideas are coming forth. I like the part where people are demarcating immediate, short, and medium. I like that part. I like the responsibility of states and federal. I like that. And I do hope that we're able to continue in that light. Wale, I've got Wale in here, I've got Bishop next. Wale, go for it.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm just quickly going to speak about productivity and a few things that I feel that Nigeria could do to increase productivity of food. I mean, at about 40% food inflation right now. I think that the matter has gone beyond blame games, and we should just be looking for how to solve, the real problem. I think one major advantage we still have in Nigeria is that we are not canned food people, right? People can still eat foods grown from the farms and all that. There are countries in the world where almost all the foods are canned foods and all that, and I think that should be an advantage for us. But in the real sense, there are so many other factors that are responsible for some of these increases, and I feel that, many of the foods that we eat, not all of them, but many of the foods that we eat are from Benue, Plateau. I mean, some of the local farmers, now all they just need is actually fertilizer, maize, sunlight, hay, machines, etc., to be able to do some of these things. I feel that
if the government really, really wants to increase food productivity, grazing must be banned in Nigeria. There is a large number of farmers, particularly in North Central Nigeria, that will not return to those farms anymore, as long as they cannot be rest assured that they will return in the evening. Nobody again wants to lose his wife or his son or his husband, to any farm. So there is a very large population of people that don't go to those farms again. Now, all these people that are no more going to farms, I understand that. There's agri-tech now. We should be using technologies, etc. But where Nigeria is right now, reality is on the streets, and the farmers that are still on ground are still contributing to a large number to the larger productivity that we have in Nigeria in terms of food. We've not been able to do a lot in terms of some of the areas where we have lots of strength. But despite all that, Nigeria is the largest producer of yams in the world. Nigeria is the largest producer of shea butter in the world. These areas where we have opportunities, how much have we capitalized on them? Secondly, I think that we should start looking at how we increase our productivity by actually making farmers rich. And to be able to make farmers rich in Nigeria, there must actually be a digital model, for linking up directly with farmers in Nigeria. Food should be able to bypass middlemen. And I think this is a very serious point that has to be discussed. The yam I've been to a town in Nigeria, in Ondo State called Idori before. In some parts of that town, you don't even need to plant cocoa for it to grow. You can throw this outside and it will sprout. The soils I know places where you have to buy soil to plant stuff. And in a particular place, the core of beverage in developed countries, all you need to do is to throw your seeds, outside. So I feel strongly that there must be a very strong connect between the consumption points and the farmers that will bypass middlemen. The taxes coming from the local government, the exorbitant amount collected by middlemen, before these goods get to the final consumers, is really responsible for the high cost of food in some areas. I'm not saying all of them, in some areas. There's other parts where, the production is not as high as it should be, because of so many other factors. You think maize is very minor until you start noticing that the number of eggs the country is producing is also dropping. So all these things have ripple effects on each other. For example, the production of chicken, it will affect supply of eggs, and it has an impact on malnutrition and many of these other things. I think the CBN and NIPOST have a very serious role. At least NIPOST is not getting as much jobs as they used to do in the past. They should be moved into some of these roles. If food is coming from northern Nigeria, and most of it is going to be consumed in southern Nigeria and vice versa, why is it not possible for payment bills to be organized for us directly? Transportation systems should be designed for these farmers directly, that lands food directly in the city. We just need to do something about productivity as far as food is concerned. In terms of actually banning importation and all that, just like a few people have actually said earlier, I am someone that's also very careful about it. But what Obasanjo did with fruit juices around 2003 has shown to us that many of these bans are possible where planning is done. You don't go and ban when you have not started planting the crop. Don't go and ban when you've not gotten the farmers that are going to do the job. You can't go and ban when CBN has not provided, loans for those farmers to support them. I'm not sure about now, but I know all the companies that emerged after those decisions on Obasanjo banning 5 Alive and etc. at that time. Many of those companies like Chi and all of them survived because it was properly planned. If Nigeria is consuming 2.4 million metric tons of fish annually, and we are still producing 820, You can't ban the 2.4 million metric tons. You can ban 1 million off, or you can ban, the exact amount will make up that 2.4 million. If not, there's going to be serious shortages. So these are the kind of things I'm going to be looking at. I mean, none of them is going to work if corruption, is still there. The real beast that confronts every good decision we take in Nigeria. Corruption, if it's still there, then it's going to be a little bit difficult. I think if we're able to do some of these things, it's going to really help our economy and increase people's purchasing power. Because purchasing power seems to be one of the major crises we have today. Thank you very much.
And Wale, I just want to emphasize that point you made about how Obasanjo went towards the banning. With cement, with orange juice, even with recharge cards, it was the fact that you passed the law. You say I'm going to do this 2 years in the future. So you pass the law today. I'm going to ban it in 3 years' time. You then say good. You then say in 3 years' time, if you have a local capacity, we will give you a benefit. Either we are going to increase taxes so that the guys that are going to import will be competing against you, but you have an advantage. So it's not that you don't want to ban imports. It's if you come to and you say, listen, we're going to ban maize by 2027. If you have a maize farm today, the federal government will buy all your maize at a guaranteed price in dollars or crude, an incentive. So that way, an investor will then go in, build that maize farm, knowing that in 3 years' time, once he exports that maize from his farm in, say, Nasarawa, he's got a market. End of story. So if you are trying to import, you already know, wow, in 3 years' time, my business model is going to die. And that's the model really for Wale. Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Let's get Bishop, then we've got Jay, then we've got Aisha. Bishop, go ahead.
Okay, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Kalu, and thank you everybody on the space. We've really come a long way from when General Gowon said problem was money and how to spend it, not shortage of it. Unfortunately, we're the inverse and directly opposite angle to that now. Okay, looking at where we are today and what will solve our problems in the very short run, I think we need to face reality, analyze what the problems are, and face it heads on. If you look at what puts much pressure on our forex allocations for now, a good chunk of it is importation of refined products. And we know it's all about politics, greedy politicians and all that. So that's why we have to have a president who knows what to do and stand for the right thing than just plain politics. Now, if I were the president, I'll get the chief of naval staff to relocate to the south of the Niger Delta. I give him KPIs. I want us to maximize our OPEC quota. I monitor him. The president is also the commander-in-chief. He has the right to hire and fire. If he doesn't meet the KPIs, you kick him out and get somebody else. And I'm sure these figures are going to jack up immediately. You understand? When he knows his job is at stake. During the last administration, we had chiefs, military chiefs building institutions in their hometowns and all that. When we were fighting Boko Haram and all that, it was sort of a distraction and all that. And then we had the president who did not say anything. So now it's sort of continuing into this regime. If we continue to do the same thing over and over again, and then we're expecting a different results, then I think we're just missing the point. So enough of all the politicking and all that. Get the chief of our naval staff, get the secretary, get them to the south and let them check up these figures.
Bishop, did Buhari do that? Buhari said that first day of his administration, on the parade ground, he says we'll relocate them to the. Buhari did that.
He said commander and something, but then they didn't go anywhere. They were still operating from Abuja and enjoying themselves. they didn't really go anywhere.
Oh my God.
So it's one thing to say something and another thing to enforce it. You understand? So now we're in that phase right now. So we really need to do something. And a low-hanging fruit is crude oil. So it's a matter of necessity for him to make sure that these figures are jacked up. And then when we've achieved that, we achieve our maximum OPEC output, then you look at Dangote's refinery and maybe our own refineries. But then I never had trust in our refineries. It's still being controlled by politicians that are just using it to make money. Dangote is a private investor. Yes, they say it's a monopolist and all that, but he's the one that's produced what can help us. So let's support so that when we have that component out from reducing the pressure on the foreign exchange, then we can now look at other things. Then we can also look at things like import substitution. For example, I was a fan of, just to give one example, I was a fan of goods loss policy to increase, to reduce wheat content of bread by introducing cassava flour. But then people mocked him and laughed at him and all that. But look at where we are. If we can do that, for example, that means wheat importation will reduce. Since we actually cannot find a way to work with the large quantity of cassava we produce, we can't find a way. To us, it's rocket science. So let's find an easier solution. We increase the cassava content in bread. That way it helps everybody. It's better for us as a nation to have richer farmers than to have richer legislators, for example. The richer legislators have done nothing to help me or you. So, but when the farmer is richer, it helps everybody. It helps everybody. We all smile and foodstuffs become cheaper. So, and then when that is achieved, we still look at other things around and see what we can do to help ourselves. And then also, there was a time, I think Katsina State was exporting hibiscus flowers to Mexico also. And they made some good money. But of recent, I've had nothing. Nobody to encourage them. Those are the little things that will make us a great country, that help us increase forex. But nobody is saying anything. They just allow these little things to pass by. We just do politics. And at the end of the day, we just go home and have a nice day. And a new government comes in. And then we continue the cycle all over again. May God help us. That's my submission.
Amen. And I like the part that we should have richer, not richer legislators. I can't say that was well put. Thank you, sir. I know Ethiopia, Kenya make millions from exporting flowers. I know we used to export flowers from Taraba. I'm not sure if we're doing it again, but just from flowers, they make millions. Ethiopia flowers. So it's something in there for us. We've got Jay, then we've got Aisha. Jay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Carlo. Good evening, everyone. Can we hear me?
Yes, you are audible. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. You see, the problem is, we all know what the problem is. The government know what the problem is. But between you and I and all our listeners, can we say sincerely that this government is making any serious attempt or any serious effort in addressing those problems? We've talked about exchange rate, we've talked about several things. Now, let me pick exchange rate, for example. Now, Mr. Kali, you said a lot of things the other time, which I disagree with. Now, I'm an economist like you, and I understand how Forex is being traded globally. But an economy like ours, that we're not producing virtually nothing, how can we float our currency like that? We should have a managed float. And by managed flow, you know what I mean. Now, we don't have anything to defend now. I'm not saying we should have a fixed exchange rate. Maybe those days are gone. But if you're going to float this naira, what are the things government should have done before we get to that place? We know it's a desirable policy, fine. But some things has to be put in place. For example, now, everybody is talking about oil theft, except this little oil bunker. The real people who are doing oil bunkering, who are doing oil theft, they are the people in government. I am not saying Tinubu government, I said government over the years. How do you explain our ship will come to Nigeria, want to spend months, weeks on our high sea, they load them with a crude and they sail out of Nigeria? How do you explain that? In this 20th century, what stops us from engaging technology? There was some video training on YouTube about 2-3 years ago about how Saudi Arabia, how they monitor every drop of oil that comes from their ground. So in Nigeria, for example, so what stops us from using technology like drone, for example, to what's this total size of the entire Nigeria data area that we cannot see when any activities is going on? So NNPC will do initial grab, the military, they will go, they say they discover one pipe here and there, somebody tap into export terminal. How do you explain that? Does that make any sense? Now, a serious Tinubu government knows all the problem. All the government aid that are working with this president, they were, whether they are in Buhari government or the chunk of them were in APC, they knew what the problem is. I've expected a president when he was coming in. Now, you know you want to float currency, and you know you want to remove subsidy, then you know there are a lot of projects that you want to execute, then government need money. So can we explain why, as of today, Nigeria cannot be producing 3 million barrels per day? Somebody will tell, how much investment do we need to do that? Is that difficult to do? So the problem is, you now say the government, one part that I don't really like, now they keep gaslighting people, there's no money to do this, there's no money to do that, and you see government spending on frivolous things that doesn't make sense. I was engaging in a conversation with somebody, and I said, fine, you might argue that Lagos Calabar Coastal Road is a good project, is desirable, but do we need it now? Is it of priority as of today? So if somebody spoke about reallocating capital, all this money that are being